Hopefully it's going
How
to
are
work
you?
better this time. And my
Oh, it
internet
sounds
connection
better.
is on. Everything is fine. There shouldn't be any problem this time.
Good. I mean, the
How
last
you
one
doing,
came.
Omar?
The last one didn't look too bad, which surprised me. You
Yeah?
know? So yeah, it's good. I'm doing good, man. How you doing? How's the week been?
How's what? How's the week been? Yeah, the
Yeah.
week's been all right, man. Just you know, it's a really busy year for me. 2023, a lot of projects, a lot of things on the go. I got my website going on. You know, it's 75% done. I need to put all my courses on it. Like you already got yours, but I need to sort mine
It's
with
a
all the courses.
constant
I need to
thing, though.
film
I'm
some new
actually,
courses and stuff.
yeah, man, I'm actually
Yeah.
like up overhauling mine right now, changing the look of it and stuff. So it's a constant thing. What are you using for your website?
Right. So it's my friend is doing it for me. I mean, we're doing it together. I'm doing all the text. I'm sending him all the pictures. I'm giving him some advice on how the look and everything. He's using my Shopify. He's using my Shopify platform to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's
Because
funny, man. I built my first website in 99. I taught myself code. I taught myself code. I got a bunch of books. I taught myself code. And now
you know how to code.
Oh, I did in 99. Yeah.
Yes,
but now you don't need that though. Now these websites are easy to do, man. I build my own websites now, but it's so easy to do.
I tried to do mine on Wix, but
that's what I use, Wix. I have 4 sites with Wix.
Yeah. Do you know what? I tried to do things with Wix, but because of my brain, bro, I started it. It was pretty much, you know, it was cool. And then I got stuck. I got stuck at something and I just went like I just gave it up. And you know, finally I ended up meeting some dude that came here for a private session one day. And he wanted to train combatives. He's seen me on Lee Morrison's website, and he was like, it was like, oh yeah, dude, I'm so glad I met you. I wanted to train. I wanted to do this, and that. And he says the thing is, you know, I can't really afford to do it very often and stuff. And you know, and he was. I said, oh, what are you doing, bro? He said, I'm a computer guy. I'm a web developer. I'm like,
awesome.
Boosh, you and I got an understanding from now. You train for free. And you do my website.
That's the good thing about our business, man. The barter system works well in our business.
Yeah, for sure. Do you know, it's an energy exchange. That's what people forget is that back in the days, that's how we used to exchange before the money.
Yeah,
you know, before I was a fisherman and you were, you know, you knew how to cut trees.
Or whatever.
I needed wood to keep warm, and you needed fish because to fill your belly, and that's how we were trading.
That's it,
you know. It's only later that this paper with mass murdering bastards on it appeared for us to use.
Yes. So awesome, man. What we chatting about today, brother?
Right. Do you know what I was thinking, brother? I was thinking, let's have a deep dive into Jeet Kune for a start, which is stuff that we both know, you know, enough about. I'm sure you know more about it than I do. You've been doing it for much longer than I have. But if we could start with, you know, what Jeet Kune is, what it isn't, the different lineages. We know that there are different lineages.
We're starting off juicy already with the Jeet Kune topic. You know, it's funny. I started FMA long before I started Jeet Kune.
Oh, right. Okay. Filipino martial arts, right?
Yeah. Well, you have experience in that also, obviously, right?
Yes. Yeah. I did a bit of FMA, not extensively, but I had a look at the knife. I had a look at the Kali. I had a look at the harness. You know, the different bits. And I really like the knife stuff. The knife stuff was amazing. By the way, my first introduction to knife was basically coming from Vincent Roca. I mean, I was playing with knives since I could walk, man. But you know, my father had a big collection of knives at home. There's always been weapons at home. Anyway, Vincent Roca was a French instructor that is, I think his stuff was called Rapid Defense System. And when my father when I was living with my father in Eastern Europe, in Latvia, we were providing training, tactical combat training for governmental units. And at that point, we were training the rapid reaction team of the Lukishkes Penitentiary in Vilnius, and we were also training the 2nd Regiment of Internal Forces of Lithuania, the special intervention group of the 2nd Regiment of Internal Forces of Lithuania.
Wow. Okay.
And so Vincent Rocca did a demo with the knife, and basically it was just an attribute development drill where the guy had his hands here and he started just slashing through and just cutting and just I was like, whoa, I was like, fuck, I want to learn how to do this. Do you know what I mean? And so I had a look, I've studied his videos, and then, you know, I had a chat with him, and he obviously showed me a few tricks, and he's been really nice with me. And he said to me, you know, go and have a look at what the Filipinos are doing. And so I went to have a look, you know, I went to have a look at the Arnis stuff, the Kali Eskrima, and the knife stuff, and that's where I got my basics, you know, the 12 angles of attack, slashes and punctures, and then mix the punctures and the slashes, and then start flowing and do your own combos. Once you understand the angles, that's what I said at first, you know, everybody is like, right, you know, the technique, but at the end, once you get to a level like yours, Billy, all you see are targets and angles. That's it. Nothing more.
I had a clothing line. I'm gonna restart it. It was called what did I call it?
You had a clothing line.
Yeah, I had a clothing line.
You're full of surprise, bro. What else do I not know about you?
It's called Trap Gear. So I'm gonna rename it because, but yeah, and one of my shirts said it's all about the angles. You know, it was an angle like this. It's all about the angles. But yeah, you're definitely right. But what led me into Jeet Kune was because, and man, you know, the purists or the original guys that don't get this, but the Jeet Kune made my FMA better. That's why I started Jeet Kune, was to make my weaponry better.
Yeah.
You know, because if you think about it, the weapons, the 5 ways of attack, for example, progressive indirect attack, that's knife fighting.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
So
any type of fighting,
the attack by drawing, that's knife fighting. I mean, that's, you know, so the Jeet Kune now, and then I've accidentally fell in love with Jeet Kune when initially I was just going to use it as a training apparatus, so to speak, for my FMA. You know what I mean? And then I just fell in love with it. So I started FMA in 1991, and I started Jeet Kune in about 93, 94, you know, somewhere around there. So I guess it was my natural evolution to go that route, because I just fell in love with Dan Onosano's work, because he could just, I haven't seen people that could formulate a teaching plan like him.
Yeah.
Like a curriculum like him, you know. So I started very combatively with my father. So most people start very similar to you. We have very similar. I told you the other day, we have very similar upbringings. But I started very combatively first, whereas most kids start very sport focused. And I started combatively, then went to the traditional, then went back to the combative side of it. You know?
Yeah.
So I've made it my life's work to stay as true to Bruce Lee's art as possible and stay as far away from the fucking politics as I can.
Oh, fuck me. Same here.
I've lost certificates because of it.
Yeah.
I've lost I mean, I've had people offer me, you know, high ranking certificates if I go their way or go this way or this way.
Oh, fuck, man.
And
There is no way. There is no fucking way.
And I just said I'm gonna do my own thing, and I'm gonna let my action speak for me. And it has. It's so funny, man, because I get messages from top name people that I'm not gonna mention, bitching about this guy, and then this guy has messaged me because I'm a middle ground guy, because I've trained with the concepts guys, and I hate it. I hate using these terms. Yeah. But I'm going to use the terms that most people use. I've trained with the concepts guys, and I've trained with the original side, and I utilize them both.
Yeah, exactly. That's what you want to do.
You know?
You see, that's the thing. You know, I've trained with you know, my JKD lineage is Ted Wong, through Tommy Carruthers in Scotland, and obviously that revolutionized the way that I see Jeet Kune, the way that train. When I arrived at Tommy's, I had already like 21 years of martial arts under my belt, and he made me throw everything away pretty much. He made me throw 90% of it away, and he made me just stick with the lead hand, the eye jab, the groin kick, the side kick, the hook kick, and the boxing combos. That was it. And then after, obviously, I do admit I have been on social media. I have been arguing back and forth with the guys about what
I used to
is and what is not.
like a virus.
And I was like, nah, you know what? I can't do this anymore. And plus, do you know what? I know a lot of people that train with Danny Inosanto. I've heard a lot of good things about the man. Apparently, he's a very, very nice guy, very knowledgeable guy. And you know what? I regret that I've never met him. I'd love to meet the guy, and if I can,
He'll be back in your area soon.
See him,
He's a man, and I mean, Pete. The reason why the other side is so pissed at him, they tell you that it's because he blends the Jeet Kune with other stuff, which he does not. But they'll tell you that. But in reality, it's just because he loves other things other than Jeet Kune.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, he's an encyclopedia. Dan is an encyclopedia of martial arts.
Every time the older I get in this, and the more knowledgeable I become, I stand in front of him today. I still be like,
I've heard that about him. Yeah,
you know what I mean. But in speaking about Tommy, and Tommy's one of those eccentric guys that you can go into many different conversations about the man.
Yeah.
But I will say that he understands it.
He understands it.
But he's not a Ted Wong. Ted Wong didn't look like Tommy. Don't get it.
No. Tommy did his own. Tommy took Ted Wong's Jeet Kune Do and kind of arranged it with his sauce and his understanding.
So he did the same thing Dan Inosanto does.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. He went and did his own thing, following what his perception, his understanding.
That's exactly what Bruce Lee wanted. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's exactly what he wanted.
Yeah.
So I tried to do the same thing with what I do, and I am popular in the Jeet Kune community, so to speak. But I don't want to be labeled. That's what I stay away from. And I do get labeled sometimes. Oh, he's a concepts guy. You don't see any Jeet Kune videos online with me blending it with Kali. You don't. Or you see me doing good, I hope, good Jeet Kune. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's the concepts of it all. And I think that's what Dan meant. And I know, and man, I was talking to a friend the other day who's real kind of a big name in the community. And that's what Dan meant with it. He didn't mean to name it something different. He meant the essence of Jeet Kune and add it to everything we do.
Yeah.
The essence, the concept of it, and add it to everything.
The philosophy that's been used to create the original Jeet Kune Do is the philosophy. I get that. And it's a beautiful philosophy.
Oh, it's a beautiful, yeah.
You know, absorb what is useful, reject what is useless, add what is your own. They have been living by this code since I've heard that term when I was a kid.
You can use that with everything you do.
Yeah.
That code, as you say, you can use it with your everything in life.
Absolutely. And that is what, when I was a kid, straight away when I understood I understood quite early what that saying meant. You know, that quote, absorb what is useful, reject what is useless, add your own stuff to it. It was like, yeah, I'm gonna make my own martial art just like Bruce Lee. Yeah, do you know what I mean? It was amazing. Yeah.
So Jeet Kune can get complicated, and it's so, I hate that we inside fight each other in this community, because Jeet Kune should be as popular as karate and taekwondo. It really should.
Yeah.
But it's not. People know Bruce Lee still, and he's how did that 32-year-old kid, and I say kid, I mean, if you think about it, I told somebody this the other day, if you think about it, me and you have been training martial arts longer than he's lived. If you think about it that way. How old are you? You're what?
Not yet. Not yet.
I got like 10 years on him.
You do, brother.
Yeah,
I'm 35. I started martial arts
I'm
at 4
closer
years
to
old.
45. So if you think about that, if you think about it like that, not only that, think about this. We've been, and you have been, how long you been training?
For 31 years, bro.
How long you been training Jiku now?
Oh, Jeet Kune.
Yeah, how long?
I mean, I first started with a concept.
Just tell me how long. Just tell me how long, because I got a point in this.
Since I was 15, no, 20 years ago.
How many years?
20 years ago, about 20 years ago.
He did it for 9 years. Think about this. 9 years. Jiku was conceived in 67, 68. He died in 73. Do the math.
He was a freaking genius.
That's it. That's what I'm saying. So in that short amount of time, he was able to really make ripples that has lasted, which is, and it's too bad that we, instead of taking what he gave us and absorbing it and building on it, we bicker and bitch to each other about it.
Yeah,
that's what upsets me.
That's why I don't have time for negativity anymore, bro. You know, especially since my spiritual awakening in 2012, I just realized, what am I doing arguing with people? I got no time for that negativity. You know, all I want to do with my time is bring positivity to myself and to people. You know, I love people. I love the world. I'm a spiritual guy. I love nature. I love Mother Nature. You know, and I just want to share. I just want to share my passion. That's it. If people don't agree, you know, if people don't agree with me, it's fine. You know what I mean? I don't agree with everyone, but I don't need to argue with people. That's one thing I don't understand, man.
That is exactly right. Yep. So it's just it's a crazy thing, man. It's a crazy thing.
So tell you what, so if we continue about Jeet Kune saying so as we spoke about, you know, the main two different branches were Danny Santo and Ted Wong, but there are a few other people that went and did their own thing, like Jesse Glover, for example, who was a good friend of Tommy. Have you had the chance to train with Jesse Glover?
No, I never trained with Jesse, but I have trained with many people who did.
And Hartman?
Loved him and loved him. But the thing is about Jesse, I wish he would have got out there more.
Jesse was the stuff I've heard and the stuff that I've seen of him was amazing.
Jesse had the best lead hand in Jeet Kune.
Yeah, I've seen
the lead finger jab and that lead hand. He understood lead hand education very well.
And the trap, the trapping, obviously, I know that non-classical kung fu was very, very emphasized on the trapping. So, you know, it was a bit like the kung fu for people that didn't have as many attributes, you know, as Jeet Kune Do practitioners, but you could get really good at that stuff and you could still become quite deadly with that stuff.
Yeah. Well, I mean, let's think about it. In a real altercation, I made a statement years ago on I forgot what it was, on a forum, maybe on Facebook, I don't remember. But I said, in reality, we're going to use maybe 2 to 3 to 5% of what we train in the dojo in a real fight. And people didn't believe me. Like, people start, that's stupid. Why do you train all that? I'm like, because we train everything else for ourselves.
Yeah.
For our attributes.
So you got attribute development on one side, and then you got fight development on the other side, which is, you know, attribute development is all the static pad work or a bit more dynamic pad work and stuff like that. And then you put the fucking gear on and just concretely go for each other and see what works and what doesn't. It's the same concept in UC, you know?
And as you get better with violence and understanding violence management and understanding violence education, as you become a student of violence, your arsenal starts shrinking and shrinking and shrinking and shrinking. I mean, the last 7 years of my club dormant career, I used maybe 2 things every time, every altercation, and there was hundreds, maybe 2 times.
So what you're talking about, it's like Tommy Carruthers always used to tell us, daily decrease, less is more. Throw things away. It's like meditation. Don't add stuff. It's not an accumulation of technique. It's a few select tools that you work, train it until you own it. It's the same like Geoff Thompson used to say, it's the sniper option. The sniper option is your go-to 3 moves that you will go to that will do the job, and every time it will work because you've worked them so much.
Because you have done it. Experience is your best teacher.
Yeah.
Most instructors don't have any experience. So but see, where they get it wrong is that it's yes, it may be daily decrease or how you stated it, which was awesome. But the rest of it builds us.
Oh yeah. Attributes. You need attributes, isn't it?
Yes. That's why sometimes I get criticized because I'm a kicker. Like
You got absolutely amazing kicks, bro. That's one thing that I've always been shocked by, the size of you and how you're able to jump and spin and do all that shit. I certainly wouldn't like to get kicked by you, Billy, man.
Well, I know that I'm not going to use that shit in a fight, but I do it now because it's impressive as hell.
Maintain your agility.
And I do it to maintain. And now that I'm getting older, I cannot do the kicks that I used to. I mean, man, I was kicking basketball rims at one point in my younger days.
I used to, do you know the funny thing? Like, because I've had a bit of health problems in the last couple of years, and my body I feel like my body got 20 years older in the last 2 years, man. I got autoimmune problems, which I'm slowly kind of sorting out. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Good.
But basically, I've lost. I can tell that I've lost a lot of, kind of attribute. I'm still explosive as fuck. I still got a lot of power. I got knockout shot left and right. But before, I used to, believe it or not, I used to live on the gypsy side. When I first moved in the UK, I was homeless for about 4 months in the streets of London. And it's the Irish gypsies that got me off the street and gave me a caravan to live in. And I used to do block paving and roofing for them in London, next to London, Luton, Leighton Buzzard, Todsbury Farm. And I used to kick wasps in the air, bro.
Yeah.
I used to kick wasps in the air, and I would get them as well. That's how fucking explosive I was with my kicks, bro. I can't do them high kicks anymore. I mean, I can do high kicks when I do Thai boxing and stuff, but it involves the whole hip. Do you know what I mean? I can't do them snappy. I can't do them snappy kicks, high kicks like I used to before.
Yeah, man. So we have to adapt. But if you keep doing that kind of thing, man, can you give me like 1 second? I just had a cat escape my house. Can you give me 1 second to grab this cat?
I'll be right back. No problem. The cat escape. Fuck, I wouldn't like to be the cat. Should have put advertising page. Next time, you get to learn how that shit works.
I'm back. Sorry, man. Shit.
Yeah.
We have 2 bobcats. Well, one passed away.
Oh yeah.
But I've had 2 bobcats for 11 years.
Bobcats.
Those motherfuckers are clever, man. Like they just open it. the damn door just opened. So yeah. So sorry about that, guys. Back
No
to
problems, man. I was saying while you were away, I was saying like next time we'll put some advertising, while you're gone, like, and we will shortly come back after a short advert. You know what I mean?
Yes.
I fucking hate adverts, man.
Yeah. So I just had to run this cat around my damn. I got him, Yeah.
So
anyway,
what's your view on trapping, Billy? What is your view on trapping in a fight in JKD? I'll be honest with you. I train it for attribute development, but I've never really used it. Maybe once I've used it successfully, but it's not something that I really believe in. I think that Bruce Lee left it for a reason. You know what I mean?
He didn't ever leave it, man. Nobody that I've ever talked to, and I've talked to, I spent even Joe Louis said that Bruce Lee never left trapping, and I trained with Joe Louis.
He kept doing it, but basically disengagement was a preferred method.
This is my view on trapping.
Okay, go on.
I usually ask people with a counter question. What's your view on mitt drills in a fight?
Mitt drills?
You ever been attacked by a guy with mitts?
No, I've never been attacked by a guy with mitts.
Swinging heavy bag.
But it's useful. It's
useful
to develop impact.
Swinging heavy bag. You ever been attacked by a swinging heavy bag?
No.
You see what I'm saying? Again, 2% to 3% to 5% tops is what we go use to defend our lives with. Everything else is for us.
Yeah.
So it shouldn't be
that's what I say. Attribute development. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, but it gets deeper. The trapping discussion gets even deeper than that. If I grab the back of your neck after I thumb your eye and I headbutt you and elbow you, that's trapping.
Oh yeah. No, in that sense, I believe.
Trapping. Just because we go into a set structure to get there, just because of the attribute building, doesn't mean that that's what we're going to do. Just because we hit mitts, we know that the mitts are good for us because it develops explosive power. But we know that we're not going to hit a mitt in a fight.
Yeah.
You get it? My thing has always been, do it fucking all.
Yeah.
Why not? If it's good for us, why not do it all?
For sure. But what do you think? Do you know when you see a lot of people that just do trapping and that's all you see them do, and then that's all they do, and they keep going?
I can't talk about them because they may be just in it to build their attributes.
Maybe,
Let's be honest. Let's be truly honest. Most instructors
can always be honest with me, man. That's what the podcast is. That's what this podcast is
about.
I
love it. I love talking to you. Most instructors are paper tigers, man. They've never seen any violence. Most instructors are paper tigers. They've never seen any violence. But is that wrong? I would hate for instructors to go through the shit I went through, to be hurting, to have their face cut open and stabbed multiple times. Nobody needs to get experience that way. So I would ask these instructors, what are you doing this for? Are you doing this to to keep your body moving and mobile, and then keep doing your thing? I highly recommend that you study violence. I highly recommend that you study real violence. It's the same thing with jiu-jitsu. How many real great DJJ black belts have been attacked by 5 guys with knives and pulled guard? None of them. In fact, most of the people that talk about it online, every time they fight, they go back to their boxing. It's the same concept, because guess what? Jiu-jitsu and grappling is just trapping horizontal. That's all it is. It's trapping horizontal.
Yeah.
Because you're holding, you're getting positions. It's the same with trapping. Trapping teaches you lines of engagement, positioning, pinning, checking. Same thing with good grappling. And trapping and grappling has another thing in common. Space is the enemy.
Yeah. You want to reduce the space.
Yeah, good grapplers feel like boa constrictors around you. They suck it out. They suck you in. Trapping, so good trappers, they trap you. So I have used single direct traps in real fights.
That's what you see. Single direct trap. That's how Tommy taught us. He said, right, a trapping works in a single motion or maximum 2 motions. Even 3, you won't make it work if it's 3. 1 or 2. And for you to make it work, you need to be fucking good.
It's just to move a hand out of the way, grab a jacket and stroke the guy.
Yeah,
That's
grab a jacket, bam, hit him.
That's trap.
Yeah. And in that way, I believe in it. This way, I believe in it.
But we have a format to make that one move better.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah. So you get the sensitivity as you do the flow drills.
You get the tactile sensitivity.
Yeah.
You get the line familiarization. You have to train those things.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
Michael Jordan used to be his work ethic. He would literally, when he go to training, sometimes he would take the ball and just shoot free throws for 3 hours and go home. He wouldn't do any line work, any defensive type of work. He would just shoot free throws for 3 hours and go home. Yeah. Because he isolated that one area and did it. And then at the game, he did it with his eyes closed because he did it so much in training. Yeah. That's my thing with trapping. Now, here's the caveat to it. There are people who believe that it's the Holy Grail.
Yeah, it's not, is it?
You know why? Because it looks so damn cool.
Yeah.
It looks so cool. So people like to gravitate towards what looks cool and not what is functional.
Yeah.
So sometimes the things that can help us can hurt us very badly. So you have to take it all. You have to look at it with a very critical eye and be very critical of yourself. And then you have to strip that shit down to the core and dissect it and see, okay, from how do you take this thing and functionalize it? Anything can be functionalized. You know what I mean? Yeah. But I'm a believer of the training of trapping if it's done right.
Yeah. But that's why I still enjoy. That's why I still enjoy doing, the flow drills with one hand, with the eye jab, going under, going like the snake and all that stuff, and then with the chisa with both hands in out. That's good stuff. I like it. I actually, when I do it, I feel free, bro. It feels like I'm in tune with the universe. You know what I mean?
It's almost like a slightly more combative Tai Chi.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's fun, and we can get out there, and we don't have to always be violent, man. And coming up, I was always so violent. I just wanted to spar. I only had 5 or 10 students at a time because I'd run them off because they'd come to class. I go put this helmet on and beat the shit out of them for 3 hours, and I would never keep students because I always had that violence, and I didn't understand that beauty of it till later. And Dan Asano was the one that taught me that. Yeah. Just because he knew he had a higher understanding. And man, I've heard so many stories about that man beating the tar out of people back in the day. So many stories, man. So I'm not saying he didn't go back in the day, but he always looked at things from multiple angles, whereas I was just one sight focused for the longest time. Yeah. And then the 20 years of violence that I was a part of, I can't even watch MMA fights anymore, man. I try to stay because I don't want to reactivate that in me because I have it and it's fucking brutal. Like, and when it's reactivated, like I don't even fight with my wife. When she wants to argue, I fucking leave the house. I'm going outside. I'm going by the lake. I'm going to get zen and we're going to come back and talk about it, baby. And it works for her too because it takes you out of the situation.
That's what you want,
that fucking thing is reactivated in me, man. It's
autopilot.
Yes, and you don't want to stay in that state because eventually what it does is it erodes you from the inside out. I got out of the club scene because of this, brother. I started enjoying it, the violence, and not only that, I was looking for it, and then it got so good and easy to me. Like I don't know if you're past this area now, or I don't know if anybody should ever get past it, but you remember when you get in an altercation, your heart's still doing this?
Yeah, the adrenaline, yeah.
I'd knock out 5 people and go, no sweat, no heart, no pulse. And I'm like, this is not good. And I'd want more. I'd want fucking more. Yeah. So I got out of it because it was eroding me from the inside. It was making me not the person I wanted to be. That's why I like the beauty of the martial arts. Because you can have the violent side and you should train it. Every man and woman on earth should become a student or at least do a study in violence education.
Yeah,
It should be part of our life.
absolutely. I do believe that. I think it's very important to study not only, the physical aspect of violence, but all the psychological elements, the mental and emotional components that are into
What our
play,
bodies go
in
through
play when you're
chemically,
facing a violent situation.
what our bodies go through chemically. Most
Yeah,
martial
yeah,
art
yeah,
instructors, if
yeah.
you ask a martial art instructor this, so when we're attacked, what does our bodies go through chemically? He won't know what the fuck you're talking.
Most people don't know that the brain shift, the cognitive shift, the blood flowing away from the
And
front
the
to gather
auditory, everything. So
amygdala, yeah, the adrenal dump, tunnel vision, hyperventilation, decrease of
thrown
fine motor
into
skills,
everything. Yeah.
all that stuff is very few people talk about it. I mean, Lee Morrison is one of the main guy to speak about all that stuff. Do you know what I mean? And now everybody starts to talk about it because Lee's been putting it
I
out there.
was speaking about that shit long ago too.
Mm,
Before it was the norm here in the States. It's still
yeah.
not really the norm. It's more the norm where you're at because of probably Jeff Thompson, really.
Yeah. Jeff
Yeah.
Thompson's got the map, the
Yeah.
adrenal map,
I
like
mean,
slow
even
release, fast release, early release, late release, secondary release.
exactly. Even
Oh,
Vuna wasn't approaching that side back in the day
yeah,
because Vu was just so talented and so just crazy and naturally gifted. I don't even think he had to delve into that side of it. But I think it's important because when we talk about violence now that I'm older and been through as much violence as I've been through, it becomes less about just dropping and hurting a man than understanding everything else around that if you do have to do that.
yes.
Does that make sense? Because there's multiple fights. There's the beginning of the fight, there's the actual fight, there's the finale of it, and then there's the legal fight.
I usually call that the three fights. You got the fight with your ego at first, then you got the physical fights with the actual person, the individual that you have to fight, or individuals, and then you got the legal fight. But what is the fourth one? You said there is four.
The legal fight.
The legal fight is the last one, but you said four. I mean, I kind of count three, but you said four. Which one did I forget?
You have the preliminary. You have the monkey talk, I call it, where you
the ego fight. Yeah.
And then if you have to engage, you obviously have that. When you drop the guy, what do you do? What do you do from there? Then you have the whole thing of, do you just leave? That was a big thing. That was a big thing with me. I used to tell everybody, drop that motherfucker, go home. You know what I mean? And I did that for many years, but sometimes you can't do that. What happens if you can't just leave your family, or you can't just leave your wife or your daughter? Yeah. And then there's the legal fight, and we can wrap that in a way more sophisticated terminology. But the point is, nobody talks about this. That's why I love teaching women. I absolutely love teaching women because it's good for my ego.
Yeah.
Because these ladies are obviously not as physical as we are. Yeah. So that means they need this more than we do, even if you think about it.
Yeah.
No, my wife
need it more than we do.
My wife is a dangerous woman because I got her young into this, and she took to it. And she wanted to know the ins and outs of it all. Whereas most students just want to know the kick and punch. They never want to know the why or how or the after or when.
Okay, so the thing is like in UC, we got the free stage of a physical confrontation, which would be pre-fight confrontation, in-fight confrontation, and post-fight confrontation. So there is always a before, during, and after.
Yeah.
But people focus only on the during, in fight. Yeah. What do you do when you're in a fight? But what could you do before the fight start? Could you have possibly good situational awareness, good environmental awareness, good personal awareness, good behavioral awareness, like Richard Dimitri likes to say? Could you actually spot pre-threat indicators? Could you actually spot the danger before it's in your face there, so that you could do something and potentially not be there in the first place, which is the best option?
Yeah, exactly. I'll tell you what else is good for my soul is teaching kids also.
Yeah.
People are shocked when they see how good of a kids instructor I am. But like I said, it's good for my soul because it forces me it forces me to get rid of that ego. You can't go out there and just look like a badass and people believe you're a badass. You have to take yourself down a notch or more or lots of notches, you know? So
it's true.
So yeah, it's so much to it, but you know what? Nobody is a student of violence. You have to become, and that's a term that I started using. I don't know if anybody else uses that, but become a student of violence.
Yes.
That doesn't mean that you're the most baddest person on earth. What it means is that you understand
violence,
the ounce of this thing.
You know what? There is a person out there that uses this terminology that I have a lot of respect for. It's Richard Dimitri. Do you know Richard?
Yeah.
Yeah, Richard Dimitri is an encyclopedia when it comes to violence prevention. The guy is a freaking genius. I will have him on this show as well soon.
I don't necessarily follow all that he, follow what he does, but I know him, and I've heard nothing but good things, and yeah.
Well, he's one of the pioneers in the reality base as well, and now he's focusing more on the pre-fight confrontation. So he's focusing on violence prevention, or the red flags, the behavioral red flags. And that's where behavioral awareness comes from. So what I've been taught mainly by Lee Morrison was, situational awareness, environmental awareness, personal awareness. But the terms behavioral awareness is something that I've heard more coming from Richard Dimitri, which is be aware of the behavior of people so that you can actually and learn also about behavioral study and psychology in order to be able to spot red flags in people and potentially just physically remove yourself before the fight has even started in the first place, And then you got all the de-escalation tactics. You got how to speak, how to avoid an escape, and then how to use partial compliancy or applied psychology in order to get your way out of the fight without having to throw a punch.
Yeah. Good shit. Tim Tackett
taught more. That stuff, should be taught more.
Tim Tackett has that
verbal judo.
Yeah, which is good.
Yeah. Tim Tackett is great.
And as I'm getting older, I'm getting more. I was never that guy. I was the guy that, look, if you want to learn about all of the situational awareness and all of this other stuff, I'm not the guy. I'm the guy that's gonna teach you how to fucking drop the threat, go home. I was always that guy. It was just me. And now that I'm getting older and understanding that it keeps having these slices of the onion, so to speak. Yeah. So I got a thing called Pi-Fi, P-A-F-I, Pi-Fi.
Okay.
So I took this from the OODA loop. I started teaching.
Yeah.
I started teaching firearms back in '99. Or at least training it. I didn't start teaching it till the 2000s, but I was training hard with some SWAT guys and stuff. Back in the '90s. So I took the OODA loop, and I'm like, it can be a little overwhelming for a woman that just walks into a seminar. You get what I'm saying? Or a non-law enforcement or non-military. So I do this thing called Pi-Fi. P, you perceive the threat. You make sure that the threat's a threat. Okay? Yeah. A, you analyze the threat, because it could easily be, you get startled by your mom and you stroke her, that you got to make sure that that's a viable target, viable threat. Okay? Then F, you formulate an attack plan. Now, the thing is this, depending on your level of training, that formulation of an attack plan is microseconds, depending on your level of training. Years ago in the 80s, they did a study. They took 5 college level basketball players, and then they took 5 people who, to their knowledge, never played basketball to a college level.
You have to do with visualization.
Yeah, let's. So they took these, and what they did was they put them in a gymnasium, okay, and they put a door about 5-10 feet from them, and they put a chair with their back to it, okay, and the lights were off. So they told these people, they said, when we flip the lights on, all you're going to do is turn around and look at the door. That's it. Okay, so when they turn the lights on and look at the door, they have somebody at the door and they fucking chest them with a basketball. Just throw a beam of basketball at their chest.
Mm.
Well, what do you think all the trained basketball players did? They caught the ball. The
Yeah.
non-trained basketball players, they got hit and they got scared.
Yeah, they flinched.
Yes.
So that's the difference between a weaponized flinch response and a natural flinch response, just like Tony Blauer has been working on for years.
Exactly.
You weaponize your flinch response.
Exactly. So a trained person is going to have a flinch response pattern different from an untrained person.
Yeah, you're right.
So that formulation of an attack plan is important to understand, because the more you ingrain this shit in you, when your formulation of attack plan is going to be microseconds. If you're untrained, it could take forever. And guess what? Time is what kills humans.
Yeah.
Time is what kills humans. The longer it takes, the longer we live, we die. The longer it takes in violence, we die. So so you have Pi-5, perceive the threat. A, analyze the threat. F, formulate an attack plan. And then I, initiate motor skill.
Okay. So one thing. So I get it. That's really interesting. But that is four neural processes. Yeah, that is 4 neural processes in this thing. Same like the OODA loop, for example. It is also 4 neural processes in one. But think about the attacker. The attacker has got only one thought process.
No, let me explain. The attacker perceives the threat. He perceives you as easy prey. He stalks you. He researches. He's perceiving the threat.
Right, yeah, of course. He uses the OODA loop. Same. If you can use the
analyzing the threat.
Yeah.
F, he's formulating a rape plan, a carjacking plan, a home invasion plan. And then I, he's putting his plan to work and initiating motor skill. The attacker does the same thing. So how do we stop that attacker from getting to I? We fucking hit him.
Yeah.
We keep him at, okay, if you take Pi-5, P-A-F-I, you put 1, 2, 3, 4 over it.
Yeah.
1 is P, 2 is A, 3 is F, 4 is I. The attacker wants to be at I constantly, or at 4. He wants to be hurting you. He wants to be putting his plan. Our job is to keep him back here. So how do we do that? We hit him. We hurt him. We put pain.
It's the OODA loop battle, isn't it?
It is.
It's for your, you want your OODA loop to be faster than his.
And that's what people don't understand. They go through the same process. It's just in reverse.
Yeah.
So to speak. You know what I mean?
You see, this is the sort of thing that more instructors should get into. This sort of understanding the cognitive thought process of how you actually initiate your motor skills. And of course, this is where you know that your motor skill need to be as simple as possible, because if it's not as simple as possible, it's just not going to work. With the adrenal stress, with all the shit that comes into play. If your motor skill is not gross, so to speak, if it's a fine motor skill, you're not likely to make it work. If it's a gross, simple gross motor skill, like bang, hit him once in the head, that's going to work.
That's right. And whenever they start going up that force continuum ladder, so to speak, you hit them again. You keep them down at 1 while you stay at 4. That's the secret to winning. And you don't count on one. Yes, you train with people who bread and butter their career on one shot, one drop. That's been my career.
Not necessarily, but
what I'm saying is we hope that they go down one drop. But the point is you never rely on an anatomical response you keep putting it together in ballistic combination until they are neutralized. Scan, escape.
Yeah. I agree with that. That's a blitzkrieg. That is exactly the concept of the blitzkrieg. Gross motor skill, forwards pressure, hit the fucker until he's down, get gone.
That's the secret to it. That's how we're able to drop people who probably in the gym could beat our ass. Do
you know what? That's what we've been taught as well. Like, you could have a trained fighter in front of you, yeah. But don't give him a chance. Don't give him a chance to show you what he knows.
Don't give him a chance. Don't give him a chance. You keep him at 1, you stay at 4. Whenever they start climbing that ladder, that's when that's when the chances, because time kills us. As human beings, time kills us. So the longer the times I've been seriously hurt in altercations was because I didn't finish. It took too long. I screwed up somehow.
Took too long. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been there. I've been there too, man. Do you know, it's same like working on the doors, man. You know, I don't have near as much experience as you do, or people that I know. You know, people like Lee Morrison or Mikhail Mulder, all these guys that are, you know, they've been doing that for a long time, and they've been facing violence like extreme. I've seen a few bits. Do you know what I mean? But sometimes it's like, okay, sometimes you deal with it so clinically that you're like, fuck, you know, you're proud because you're like, shit, I fucking dealt with that stuff like a chief, and you know, it kind of boosts your ego up. But you need to really relax that ego, because on another day, something is gonna happen, and you're still gonna deal with the situation because maybe, you know, because you know what to do and you got a strong team with you. But you're gonna be like, fuck, it took too long. You know, I should have. You go back home and you start thinking, I should have done this. I shouldn't have done this. I shouldn't have stood there. I should have done this. I should have cleared the tables on the side. I should have. You know, every time you go back and you think what you could have done better, analyzing stuff. And
I've been there on the table getting stitched up, going. Even though, let me just tell you this: I've been very fortunate. I said, how did I say this in the book that I'm writing? I said, I have won all of my major altercations since I was an adult. But did I really win? They get knocked out. I go get my face stitched up.
Yeah.
They get knocked out. I blow out a leg. Yes, I maybe neutralize them, but at what cost?
You always have a cost. The same thing here, bro. Every time we got to deal with someone, you end up with a corner of table in your leg or in your back, and then you're fucking limping for 2-3 days because of that. And you don't want to speak about that shit because you're proud. You got that pride. You know what I mean? But how many times trying to get somebody out, yeah? And you know, when you got to deal with one guy and you know, because you observe them, you know, he's on his own, you know, he doesn't have any mates. So you're like, fuck it, I'm going to take him on my own. And you grab him and, you know, he's still kind of agitated and you end up getting a corner of a table right in the nerve, in the peroneal nerve. And you're like, fuck. And you know, it kind of hurts you for fucking days after that, man.
Yeah.
Violence is never the solution. That's why I always try to talk to people. And before I actually put my hands on people on the door, I ask them, I say, mate, you got to live. Are you going to do it on your own? And, you know, often people go, yeah, I'm going. That's it. I don't even need to touch them.
There was a thing going around the last 5 years of my career, probably. You know, when they put their nose to you, they try to, and my team used to always just crack up laughing. And this worked a lot because I think they saw my team laughing when I would do this, and they would be like, oh, this guy may be serious, you know. And I got to the point where I was kind of legendary in that town, but new people came to that town all the time because it was a college town. Yeah. We have a major MTSU, you can Google it, MTSU in Tennessee, major football team, major wrestling team, 20 MMA schools, every corner, you know. So, and lots of cocaine. Like, it was one of the biggest coke towns in Tennessee. So we were dealing with people that if you wasn't on your edge, they would slam you on your head and, you know what I mean? They were very tough kids. So it got to the point where they would do that, and I go, look, bro, if you want any chance of this, you need to back up because this is where I live, brother. This close. You need to, if you want any chance of surviving this, you don't need to be this close to me. You know what I mean? And they would go.
I don't allow people that close, man. I'm with the fence.
I do. I want them here. Oh man, that's done. Yeah. This is where I live. I live around their neck. The bite, eye gouge, headbutt. I mean, that's where this is my home, right? Yeah, here. You know, and it what it does is it takes away their game. It takes away their striking. I even got to the point where I'm going to send you my Fight Stoppers program. You need to look at this. I think you'll dig it. But it kind of shows you some tools of the trade that I lived by for many years. But I wanted them that close. Whenever I got hurt was when we had to toe up. But then the only game was then to get inside. Yeah. Whether it be by straight blast or whether it be by blitz or whether it be by whatever. You know what I mean? Yeah. But my point is, the whole point of this conversation was there's so much to this than just punching and kicking like everybody thinks.
It's the mindset.
These people go to these karate schools and taekwondo schools every day to do punching and kicking and kata and everything. Yeah. Then they leave they hopefully picked something up, but it wasn't violence education. They hopefully picked up something to better their lives, to enrich their souls, to better their physical, their flexibility, their strength, but it wasn't violence education.
Once again, it's attribute. It's the difference between attribute development and fight development.
That's right.
You see, when I look at your Jeet Kune Do, is one of the reasons, bro. I've always been like this. I've always been like this. Where even from a young age, I was very, very selective who I was watching on YouTube. I was always been very selective who I was watching, because some people, I'm not putting anyone down or anything, but I was always attracted by the mindset, the explosiveness, and the this. And I see that in you. I see that in Lee. I see that in a few. Tommy Carruthers is one of the guy as well. His Jeet Kune Do is very combative.
I love watching Tommy, man. I love it. He did this one demonstration where I think it was at like Bruce Lee convention or a
yeah.
Boy, he put a helmet on this guy and just start throwing lead hands, and I mean he's so impressive, Me and I don't really get along with Tommy, or we kind of. It ain't that
we don't. I mean, I don't think he likes me very much.
Look, Tommy don't like anyone. That's the problem.
That's the thing.
He doesn't like anybody. And if Bruce Lee was alive, they would probably butt heads.
To be honest, I don't disagree with that. To be honest,
Bruce Lee was alive, they would have duked it out long ago.
I'll be very honest with you, man. I will always be grateful to the man for what I've learned, because I've not stayed there for too long. I've trained at the basement for a while. I've not stayed there for too long compared to some people that have been with him for years and years and years. Like people like Paul Mitchell, which is a good friend of mine, who's been with him for 15 years. But the stuff that I've learned there is stuff that you don't learn anywhere else. And he completely revolutionized the way that I see combat. And he made me somebody that stands out already, like yourself. Do you know what I mean? It's stuff that I'm like, wow. I will always be grateful to Tommy for the stuff that I've learned, and I always give him credit. Do you know what I mean?
And that's awesome, man. You got to be a sponge in this. You got to train with anyone you can. If I ever get to meet Tommy, I'd love to meet him, man. I mean, just take what you can. Joe Louis told me one time, and he has been known to say this multiple times. But Joe Louis said, he goes, I'm the biggest thief. He was talking about himself. He says, I'm the biggest thief in martial arts. He goes, you show me something, I'm going to take it, and I'm going to make it better. And that's been kind of my philosophy.
Yeah.
And you know what? In a way, that should be flattery to you. Because if you spark this in my mind, this, and if you've given me this skill set and you spark this in my mind, I should go out and try to evolve it. Or try to. And if I can't evolve it, if it's so fucking amazing and I can't evolve it, I guarantee you I can find a better way to teach it. And that's important. There's nothing new under the sun. This is a Billy Brown quote for you.
You can't reinvent the wheel. I know that, and I believe in that.
There's nothing new under the sun. The only way we make it seem new is by the way we evolve it and or share it.
By adding a little twist to it. And you see that's the difficulty that I have right now, because I'm the one of the new generation urban combatives instructor under Lee Morrison, and I'm still learning. I still got a lot of things to learn. Do you know what I mean? There are people that are really high in UC, like Mikael, like like Jamie Miller, who's a very good friend of mine as well. And it's
who's a real tall guy.
Yeah, big lad, explosive as well, man.
And is that? Is that Jamie?
Jamie Miller is the big guy. He's Lee. He's the guy that's been the longest with Lee. He's been with Lee.
Real tall.
Yeah, tall with tattoos. Yeah.
He's badass.
When I'm looking at them, I'm thinking, I'm thinking how. First of all, I need to learn to develop my UC as it was taught to me. And doing so without copying is very difficult, because I'm a very visual and kinesthetic learner. You know what I mean? So I've learned stuff from you just by looking at your videos. Do you know what I mean? I just look at people and I'm like, oh, fucking hell, that's good. I'm going to try that. And then I try it. And then, after several repetition, I got it. But then I pick up some signature movements that I don't even compute that, but people see it and people are like, oh, you're copying that guy. you're copying this, you're doing exactly what he's doing. And I'm like, well, that's just because that's how I got it. That's how I sponged it. Do you know what I mean? That's how I got it. But right now, I'm trying to find a way to get my own twist to things. It's like if you look at Mikhail Mulder now, you look at his new videos, and he's starting now to, until now he was really a carbon copy of Lee, pretty much. Do you know what I mean? What he was saying, what he was doing. And I'm the same. Some word of vocabulary, I've learned them from Lee. So of course I'm going to use the same words of vocabulary.
But that's why you don't need to listen to those people that talk all that shit. That just ask them, they go, well, when you throw a jab, who are you copying?
Yeah, a jab is a jab.
Caveman from 15,000 years ago that first thought he could put his fist out. You know what I mean?
But what I was going to say, if you look at Mikhail's videos right now, he's starting to explore that grappling, and he's starting to kind of get, because he understands UC principles so well, he's now able to take Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and put it there and actually add these UC combative concept principles to it. So he's already kind of doing something of his own, and it's still, it's UC. Lee's like, yeah, that's UC principles. Do you know what I mean? But that's not stuff that Lee has been teaching to us, but it is UC. And I want to get to that point where I can where I understand the concepts good enough to be able to create my own shit. And it's still stay UC.
Don't force that evolution.
I don't want to force anything. It takes time. It takes time, bro. And to be honest with you, that's why I maintain. That's why I got my thing, which is Adrenaline Combatives, and then I got UC, because UC is UC, and until I really understand the principles, then I'm gonna have to stick to the way I've been taught. But Adrenaline Combatives is my shit. I can do whatever the fuck I want with it. I can add stuff. I can take stuff away. I can add some boxing, some Thai boxing, some MMA. I can add some UC in there. I can add some Jeet Kune Do, some Tommy's Jeet Kune Do, some concepts Jeet Kune Do. I can add anything I want in there because it's mine. But
and you're going to get to the point, and you already are, man. I mean, don't undersell yourself. You're going to get to the point where your body and your mental aptitude of it all starts doing this shit autopilot.
Oh yeah, it's already starting. It is already starting. I know that some skill sets that I have are it's there. You know what they said? There is 4 levels to mastery. There is unconscious incompetence, conscious incompetence, conscious competence, unconscious competence. And some of my, like my JKD skills, my leads, my eye jabs, my groin kicks, they just come like that. I know, and I've used them in fights before, and it happens. It just comes out. Yeah. But certain stuff, certain things, I'm still between conscious competence and unconscious competence. I'm still not at the level of unconscious competence for certain new skill set that I'm getting. But it's getting there. Repetition is the mother of all skills.
That's it. That's it, man. Yeah.
You can see it when somebody when it becomes spontaneous. When the skill set comes out on its own in response to a certain stimuli, a certain situation, and you don't even need to think about it. It's thoughtless. Like Bruce Lee used to say, it doesn't hit. I mean, I don't hit. It hits by itself.
And that's true. You know what I just thought too? You see this chat that we're having. This is the second one in a couple days. You don't see the Jeet Kune Do world doing this.
No, because there's so much politics.
And so much infighting. And the same thing with FMA. Like this weekend, like, man, I get booked out of all of the stuff I teach. I get booked by FMA seminars more than I do anything else. And I would love to go teach a Muay Thai, or I have something called hybrid striking program, which is a blend of Muay Thai, Taekwondo, Savate, a bunch of things. Really a unique program. I mean, you've seen some of it. I want to get booked more seminars with that, and I do get every now and then, but most people want the FMA. You know why? Because the FMA here in Florida, at least, is just so open. And these guys are just, they welcome me in open arms. I mean, and I just, it's insane. And I just wish the Jeet Kune Do world was like that.
Yeah.
That would be beautiful.
People are closing themselves. They're like, because it's all the politics, man.
And what else pisses me off is that the people that do this shit the most are the suckiest.
Yeah.
They're the most, they don't train. They're the most technically. I had a semi YouTube well-known guy.
That's insecurity, that, bro.
I had him years ago go. He sent me a message. He goes, "I've been following you for a while." He put this on one of my kicking videos. He goes, "I've been following your Jeet Kune videos for a while, and then I ran into this video." He goes, "You are so good at kicking and so athletic, but," this is what he said, "but I thought you was a real Jeet Kune man. Real Jeet Kune men don't kick above the waist." And I'm like, "You motherfucker." I'm like, "Because you can't kick above the waist makes me less of a Jeet Kune man?" It cracked me up, man.
Mate, this is just small-mindedness. And to be honest with you, sometimes you post videos and you get comments from keyboard warriors and stuff like that. And when you read their comments, you can clearly see their level of understanding and their combat.
Then I go to their page and you go to their page, they have no videos of themselves doing anything.
And it's like, dude, I used to think like you when I was 12 years old. Do you know what I mean? And then I grew up. Do you know what I mean? And I've still got a lot of things to learn. But you know how you can look back a year ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 20 years ago, and look at how much you've evolved by looking at your old videos. I tell you what, I could show you the first video that I ever filmed.
I could show you one of mine.
It was very combatives already because of my father. Do you know what I mean? But how much piece of road I've made since then, you can clearly see the difference.
I tell my wife, I ran in some footage of me back in '97. One of my first VHS video. I put it on digital, but it was VHS. Yeah. And I'm like, I don't even want people to see this shit. She's like, "No, it's historical. You should definitely put it in the archive and let people know, you know." And I'm like, man, I don't want people to see this shit. Even though at the time, people were like flocking to me thinking I was the stuff. And now I look back at that and I'm like, I don't know if it's I evolved or the world has evolved or we've all evolved. But
violence does evolve as well. And that's the thing. Like, if you want to keep up to date with the way that violent criminals are operating nowadays, you know, it's completely different today what's happening than what used to happen 10 years ago or even 5 years ago. Do you know what I mean?
The more friends like you that I get that are international around the globe, it's also different geography wise.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
I mean, absolutely. You know? So
you get cultures, different cultures. Look, in the Philippines, you got people fighting with fucking machetes in the street.
Still in the street right now. Yeah. People here, they criticize Americans. Why y'all train with weapons? Nobody's gonna ever pull out a stick or a machete.
I always train weapons regardless. Even if I'm in the UK, I've had so many people telling me, "Why do you train firearms? Why do you train your weapon access? Why do you train your grip, your sight, your alignment, your recoil, all that shit?"
With your badass pepper gun you got? Badass. I told my wife about that. I'm like, this dude's got a gun that looks like a 44 Magnum Anaconda. And
it's right here, bro.
Shoots some. What does it shoot? Pepper? What does it shoot?
Huh?
What does it shoot? Is it rock salt?
I make my own ammunitions, man. Basically, it slugs with pointy pieces of metal.
Oh, so it's like a pellet gun.
Yeah, no, it's got a CO2 cartridge. It's legal. It's legal. It's really the limit of what you can get in the UK.
It's a pellet gun.
You know, I got the fucking. I want
one, man.
No, it's good. It's good enough, bro. It's good enough.
Does it hit hard?
It's good enough to make somebody. It will go through. It will go through. Do you know them doors that are not too thick? It will stick right in it. So it's good enough to make someone dance, bro. It's definitely good enough to make someone dance and give me the time to access that bad boy.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So how are your knife laws there? I know they're crazy too.
Very, very bad. Any weapon by design in the UK, it's fucked up, mate. They took our right to our God-given right to arm ourselves. It's gone. Yeah. You guys lucky you got the Second Amendment. I'd love to live in the US just for that fact. Just for that fact that, you know, if I was living in the US, brother, I'd be packing 1, 2, or 3 pieces, you know, every day. Seriously. Not because I intend to use it or anything, but you know, it's the same thing like having a condom, man. It's better to have it not needing it than not. You know what I mean? So
yeah, I do.
The laws in here in the UK, any offensive, any weapon by design is completely illegal. If you're found in a possession of anything like that, of any search articles, you're going to get in trouble. But the thing is that what you want to do, then you want to be smart. You want to have things on your persona that are not regarded as weapon by design, but that you could use as a weapon if need be in a worst case scenario.
No, I understand. I definitely understand all that. But my question is, what are the knife? Like, I know you can have. Can you have a three? You can't have a lock.
Okay, so you can in the UK. To be honest with you, it's very, very strict. So you can have a less than 3-inch blade that is not lockable.
Can't lock it. So it's gotta be a
it can't be lockable. If it's lockable, it's illegal. But even so, if you were to be found in a possession of such article, you could still have it taken away from you. You could still be taken to the police. You might not get fined or get imprisoned because of that, but they don't like
so you can't have work. You can't carry work knives or nothing.
Well, that is different. You see, if you work as a builder, for example, you could have a stainless blade in your belt or in your bag. As long as you can justify, your possession.
Hey, what about this? Like in my car, along with guns and knives, I carry a hammer. Can you do something like that? Okay.
But you need to be able to justify why you have a hammer in your car. Are you a builder? Are you going to work? Do you know what I mean?
If you're working on your own house.
Maybe. Maybe. You know what would be more probably better is the baseball bat inside the trunk of your car with the baseball. Don't forget the baseball. Do you know what I mean? If you just have and the glove. If you have the baseball, only the baseball, then it's going to be more difficult for you to explain why you have it than if you have a baseball bat with a baseball and the glove.
You're making me not want to visit, brother.
Bro, I tell you, the laws in this country are fucked up. The only thing that's good in this country about the laws regarding self-defense is the right of preemption.
Yeah, so, you tell me that.
We have the right. It's basically accepted. It's legally accepted to hit someone first if you have reasonable ground to believe that your life or the life of people around are in direct danger. But also your response, your action should be reasonable and necessary.
Of course. Yeah.
That is a bit like everywhere. But let's just say that preemption is quite a good thing in here, because when you know that, oh shit, you physically tried to remove yourself and you couldn't. Any attempt of de-escalation, any attempt of avoidance, escape, and de-escalation has failed miserably. At that point, you're like, well, boom, just fucking hit him. But you still need to be able to explain it in front of a police officer. That's where you remember what we were talking about earlier, which is being able to switch it on, have this mental switch, the aggression called being able to access cold clinical aggression in a fraction of a second on a switch. But
I call it the KI switch.
Yeah, have it on, have the switch on, but also be able to switch it off as quickly and as explosively as you can switch it on, because you got to be able to deal with somebody that's in shock after and be the nice guy after you fucking dealt with the bad guy. You need to be able to speak and clearly articulate what you did in front of a police officer and seem like the good guy. You want to be able to do that. So that's where communication skills come into play. That's where active listening skills come into play. That's where the customer service, for example, working as a door supervisor, working as a doorman, is very, very important. And as I said to you, I got the reputation here in Stockport to be I'm the nice doorman that smiles to everyone. I'm the guy that speaks to people. I'm the guy that people want to speak to when they have a problem. They don't go to my colleague, because my colleague is my colleague just switches. Hassan, he's a very good guy from Bengali. He's a nice guy. He's not very tall, but he's quite big. He goes to the gym and he's strong as fuck. And that guy will switch. He's got no customer service.
You train him.
When people piss him off, he's like, Julien, you go and talk to them. I can't be fucked. You go and talk to them. And if things happen, he's like, you see his eyes are coming out. He's like, I know straight away when he's gonna fucking switch, man. So I'm known as good cop, bad cop. I'm the good cop. He's the bad cop. But then when they see me switch, You know, because sometimes it happens, not near as often as Hassan. Hassan switches every fucking weekend.
Is he trained?
Yeah, yes, he trains, yes. But he
He
doesn't train fighting. He's a wrestler. He tackles people. He takes people to the ground. He headlocks people. He carries people out. He's a quite a strong, handy lad, mate. But the thing is that he will switch every time and he will lose it. He can't control his emotions. He will fucking lose it. It's good to have someone like that in your team because you know they're afraid of nothing. But at the same time, a lot of situation that it had to become physical, and I had to go and help him because I'm not going to override what he does or what he says. I can take him to the side later and have a conversation with him and tell him, look, mate, do you know what? That situation could have been dealt with without violence. So next time you let me do the talking. And do you know what I mean? So I'm quite good like that. I'm quite good at de-escalating the situation. But then also the thing is because I'm the good guy and people don't expect when people start, you know, I give people several chances. I'm quite a patient guy. But when I see people are just taking me for a cunt, I switch and I'm just explosive, just grab them and take them out. But do you know what I mean? You need to know the balance. You know that yourself, man. Customer service is very, very important in that job. And not enough people.
That's why I got out. That's why I got out because I was so burned out the last few years that I would knock people out every week. The last 2, 3, 4 years, it was getting bad.
Yeah.
One of the worst ones that I said I need to get out of this business. I knocked out Wonder Woman. Let me explain. I knocked out Wonder Woman.
Fuck.
We had Halloween one night and we had 500 people. We had the biggest club in the town, 625 people capacity. Okay.
Yeah. Wow.
And it was a Halloween party, and they had a bunch of college kids dressed up like superheroes, and one of these wrestlers were dressed up like Wonder Woman. Okay, and he was a man. But yeah, after I knocked him out, because don't get me wrong, he deserved it. But I told my wife, I'm like, did I just knock out Wonder Woman? I'm like, I need to quit. I need to get out of this.
It's better than fucking. Do you know this Halloween? I was working the club in Buxton, and we had someone dressed as Jimmy Savile. I don't know if you know who Jimmy Savile is. But
who is that? Is that comedian?
It's one of the most notorious pedophile in England that was friends with the royal family.
I know who you're talking about now. I knew that name.
Yeah,
I researched all that.
With the long blonde hair, man. Fucking disgusting piece of shit.
Yeah.
And one guy thought it was a good idea to fucking dress as Jimmy Savile for Halloween. I was like, you funny cunt.
Yeah. I don't miss it, man. I don't miss it at all.
If we go back to Jeet Kune Do, and we spoke about trapping, we spoke about what Jeet Kune Do is, the different lineage and all that. And I was thinking, so the main thing really that I've been learning with Tommy Carruthers was really understanding the concept of interception, which is what Jeet Kune Do is about, is the art of the intercepting fist or foot or head or shoulder or elbow or knee or whatever you want. But so the art of interceptions, as Tommy Carruthers love to explain it that way, says it's all about being able to see fast, being able to perceive the threats and have repeated that stop hit so many times that it just comes out. And as soon as you see the pre-threat indicator, boom, you're there. As soon as the guy moves towards you, he offers you an opportunity to intercept. So how have you been learning and teaching that approach?
Let me answer that this way.
Okay.
You should try the interception part is, like you said, the backbone of Jeet Kune Do, and it's just attribute building, and it makes you explosive. It makes you fast.
Yeah.
200 fights over the last 20 years, maybe 200 fights. I had to do it maybe once.
Yeah.
Maybe once, maybe twice. Because the problem today is, and I put this term in my book, and I'm the only, I coined this term, and I hear a couple other instructors starting to use it, which I'm flattered, but I coined it. I use this term called the sparring mentality. With martial artists today, MMA kids, whatever, they think that what they're doing, and this is the thing that people don't understand. Everybody puts Bruce Lee on this high pedestal. Bruce never saw any real violence. He was in a couple fights his whole life. He wasn't violence educated. Could he have just went? Yes, of course. But nobody's ever took a bat to him or a knife to him or broke a bottle over his face and made him go into that. Nobody's ever done any of that to him. So let's be honest. Let's not put a man on such a high pedestal that didn't live long enough to experience those things. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Bruce approached everything from what he had been trained. Boxing, Wing Chun, various forms of kicking arts, fencing.
Yeah.
And he approached it from that, but that's not real violence. Real violence is me running you over with my fucking car. That's violence.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? Real violence.
Biting a chunk, spitting it in his face.
Yes. He never experienced Yes. He never experienced any of that. So his art was built on more of an MMA format. It really was. The give and take, or the give. But with the thing, the two people have space and they're squared up. I don't want anybody squared up with me. So as much as the interception is important, I'm a king of it in the dojo floor when I fought in the ring and that kind of thing. I think, and still to this day, I still love the concept. And if I can't intercept you with one finger jab or something and just be done with it, beautiful. But in reality, fights don't start in a sporting confrontation.
No, you start from an emotional platform in your fucking
very emotional.
range.
And then your body starts experiences those chemical intakes, cortisol, adrenaline dump, tunnel vision, auditory
time distortion, shaking of the
limbs. All this, and then the world starts closing in on you when in fact you need to try to keep it open, because you rarely only fight one guy. I mean, you usually fight his friends too. When I got hit with this Corona bottle and my cheek fell down and I lost 1 liter of blood, 39 stitches inside and out. You could see bone, you could see tendons. My cheek was bouncing off my shoulder. I wasn't even fighting that guy. A little bitty short Asian guy did that. I was fighting his big friend. I never seen it. Never seen it. That's real violence. So it's hard to intercept that.
Yeah. When you go tunnel vision, your peripheral field narrows down, and you're very vulnerable to flank.
He had a bad night after that, but I didn't see that. I didn't know I was that messed up. I didn't know I was cut like that. I thought he punched me in the ear. My ear went. This ear went because of the percussion of the Corona bottle. It went completely. So I thought I got punched. So I finished this guy. I turned to him, and this guy, he turns white as a sheet. And I thought that he did that because he's like, oh, this big ass legendary bouncer is about to do me like he just did my friend. No, he saw this cheek bouncing, blood squirting everywhere on everybody in the club. I had people taking their shirts off because I was shooting out 1.5 liters of blood. And I ran at him and he just froze. And I fucked him up. And then when the cops got there, he tried to fight the cops and they fucked him up. He had a bad night. But my friend goes, I'm grabbing this guy, and I remember grabbing him, and I hit him with about 3 elbows. My friend, and he just falls, and my friend goes, we got to go to the hospital. I'm like, no, he doesn't need the hospital yet. He's about to. And he goes, no, you do. And I remember him just taking his hand and going, and just putting my face back together. So the interception should be aligned with trapping and with hitting mitts and with it's all part of the same stone to sharpen the fucking sword.
Yeah.
That's my look on everything. I'm not going to take away trapping because I don't use it in a fight. I don't use 99% of the shit I do in a fight.
Yeah.
But I still do it, and I want to get good at it. I want to get good at it because I believe in my heart and soul that if I get good at it, the fight's going to be easier.
Yeah, it will give you the attributes. It will give you the attributes base in order to kind of be superior in the fight.
My goal is to make the fight easier.
Yeah.
If I ever have to fight that Mike Tyson, the most dangerous man on earth.
I mean,
if I ever have to fight him,
he's one scary motherfucker.
fucking love that man. I'd hug him.
Oh yeah, especially in the
But I
last
guarantee
year.
you right now, if I got to fight with him in a club and we started like this, I would fuck Mike up. And I will say that publicly because I'm not going to give him a chance to do any of the things he does. You get what I'm saying? I'm going to reach in and just rip his nose off and just thumb his eyes as quick as I can and just go for it. You get what I'm saying? Because he doesn't get that in the ring. That's say he's never seen that. Not to say Mike ain't a street kid that knows how to do that shit too, because obviously we know he does. But if you do this shit and you train to do it with the intensity and the
aggression,
ferocity, and know when to do it first. The first is with the mostest is the bestest.
Yeah, absolutely.
When you get there, then it doesn't matter who the fuck it is.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? The problem is that time kills us. So when we get ego and I push Mike, then now I gotta fucking fight Mike. I don't want to fight him. I want to. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, the blitz.
Time kills us. So you don't want time. You want to fucking do it. Go home. That's the secret of my success, anyway. I mean.
Let's talk about mindset, Bill, which is something that a lot of people miss, especially in the self-protection world. A lot of people, like we said, teach you how to fight, how to punch, how to kick, how to elbow, but very, very few people speak about mindset really in depth.
By the way, to go back, I was sparring partners with one of Mike's guys that fought Mike Tyson.
Yeah,
I don't know if I ever tell you that. Yeah, no, it didn't end good for that guy. And that guy's a sad story. But yeah, he lived and worked out at the gym I ran.
Okay.
So for 2 weeks, he wanted me to spar him because I was very fast. And he wanted to learn he thought in his mindset, if he could cut me in a corner, he could do it to Mike. Mike knocked him out within like fucking a minute. Clifford, the Black Rhino, and Eddie. Look him up. And it's a sad story because he went fucking nuts after that and tried to kill his wife. And I used to eat dinner with his wife and daughter, and he attacked cops, and now he's in prison for the rest of his life. So it's a very sad story. So I don't bring it up much because of how it ended. But when I knew Cliff, he was a great guy. And I went, he invited me into his home. He had a beautiful wife, beautiful baby girl. But yeah, I was sparring partners. And so getting in that world and seeing that fucking heavyweight throw those jabs at you woke me up too. I've had lots of experience in my training. We're about to get to your topic, though. I just wanted to get I've had lots of experience through the years where I was around the right people at the right time to help my own evolution.
Yeah.
From him, I developed something called the Active Punchers module.
Okay.
And what it was trying to enter on a guy that can fucking punch.
Yeah.
I went down for 20 years. I wanted to just throw. Like, he made me really respect. I've always been a fan of boxing. Loved boxing.
I love boxing. Boxing is amazing, man.
Since me and my grandfather used to sit there in the 92 and just watch boxing matches all night. And I got a great Roy Jones story about that. But anyway, but I didn't, as a martial artist, I didn't respect it like I did and like I do now until I was sparring partners with that professional heavyweight boxer. That made me understand that, because I was fastest man on the block and I could do all the kicking and grappling, but I couldn't do none of that when I sparred him. And when he hit you, it fucking shook your soul. So it made me know I don't want to get fucking hit. I don't like being hit. I really don't. I really don't. That's why I love the clinch game so fucking much.
Yeah.
Because when I'm here, I'm home. I can control the descent of my headbutt. I can control the your head over ankles or head over feet or sideways on one leg. You know, the best time to hit a man is when he's on his toes, he's on his heels, or when he's on one leg.
Yeah.
So when you move him on one fucking leg, that's the time you want to hit him. You know what I mean? When you pull him over on his toes, that's when you hit him. When you can push him back over his heels, that's when you hit him. You know? Because that makes all of his shit neutralizes it for just a microsecond.
Yeah. No, that is good. That is good, man. Very, a lot of similarities between what you do and what we do in UC. But you know why? I think because it comes from the same place. It comes from Vunak as well. You know, with the Paul Vunak and
But not even that, because like I told you the other day, I would die for Vunak. I love that man so fucking much. But I think that people like Lee and myself, if I could throw me into that pale, I think we've transcended a little bit through it because of the mental and all the other shit we've been talking about today that Vu kind of glosses over or jumps over. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I think more is that it's so similar because of similar upbringings.
Conclusions and upbringing, yeah.
Similar upbringings. Like I told you, the first time I saw Lee, I thought he bought my Fight Stoppers program. I came to I don't know how I missed him for so many years. I was really, really a huge Jeff Thompson fan for the last 25 years. And like I said, he sent me a bunch of autographed books. I mean, I've always really highly, highly looked up to him. I don't know how I missed Lee. I just saw one little clip one day. I'm like, who's this fucking guy? I clicked him. I'm like, did he buy my Fight Stoppers program? And then I go to the research and I'm like, no, this motherfucker is legit. You know what I mean? And not just watching some of my videos. And then I started researching it, and his little bio reads very similar to mine. And I'm like, similar roads lead to similar,
similar
paths.
minds come to similar conclusions.
That's it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. Yeah. So, well, where we're going to talk about mindset, okay? The cultivation of cold clinical aggression on a switch, mindset. How do you train that shit? How did you learn that shit? But before you start, I'll just tell you, for me, it's not necessarily something that I was born with, because when I was younger, I was quite a scared little guy that was getting picked on, and I didn't want to fight back. And then the anger took over. So I didn't straight away develop cold clinical aggression. It was anger. It was fucking rage. And one day I went from one extreme to the next. You know what I mean? But later I've learned to kind of control that and put kind of take the dragon out for a bit on the muzzle, let him do the work and pull him back and put it back in the cage. And being able to do that on a switch. And the way that I train that is in front of the mirror. I go from soft state where I smile, and then I go and then I go back to my smile. So what I do in my head is I go off, on, off. You know what I mean? With the switch. So
I have lots of methods that I've taught over the years and that I've done in my personal training. But before I tell you some of those, let me tell you this. The best way to train that, and the real reason why you've gotten better at it is not because of any of that shit. It's because of experience.
Yeah.
You will learn how to throttle it through experience. You know what I mean? And I truly believe that.
The adrenal stress is kind of stepping past your adrenal response.
Yes. I used to do one a lot where I would be driving, and then every time you're driving, I don't know how the driving is in the UK. Do y'all drive much? Do y'all take train?
Unfortunately, that's the thing. It took me a long time. I'm a bit behind with this, but I'm doing driving lessons now, and I got my driving test booked in March next month.
So you've never drove before?
I drove. I drove.
How do y'all get around is what I'm asking. Is it a train? How do y'all get around is what I'm asking. Is it like a train?
Train, buses, planes.
Okay. Yeah. Well, here the driving is crazy. So, but I started this in Louisiana actually years ago, and then I did it in Tennessee. Florida drivers are probably the worst in America, in my opinion. Texas is bad, Atlanta's bad, but Florida's really bad. But I would whenever I get cut off or anything, I would just fucking go enrage bazonkers in the car for like 5 hard seconds. Motherfucker. Elvis. I did that religiously every day.
Yeah.
And that was my training. So every time I got cut off or something, I would just flip it on, flip it off. Flip it on, flip it off, you know? So that anything like you're doing the same thing in the mirror that I did.
Yeah. Switch it on, switch it off.
Flip it on, flip it off. Now this is the problem. I didn't learn to flip it off till later in my career. And then at the end of my career,
that was my problem as well for a while.
At the end of my career, I just didn't care.
I got in trouble with the law because of that when I was younger, man. Just started not being able to stop and hurting people. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I think becoming a father really kind of made me kind of, I didn't want to go to prison for murdering someone. And not just that, though, if you think about it on a real tactical or combative method, if you have your wife or your child and you have to engage a guy, you cannot stay that. I've had colleagues who were so fucking enraged where they just hurt this guy, turn around, stroke their wife because she's coming try to get him off of them. I have friends who have actually done that because they didn't understand. So what I do is I call it the intensity or the KI dial or KI intensity dial. It turns like this. You don't just flip it on, flip it off. You throttle it constantly.
Yeah, it's like the violence volume dial in UC.
Yes. So I think that's a good kind of way to look at it because you don't want to flip it completely off in case he's got 3 friends around his corner. Yeah. But you do want to flip it off enough where you can at least
interact with your
family or innocent people. Yeah.
Or coppers. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Vu used to always say, you're in there, you're elbowing somebody, then cops walk in, and you go, "Orange bar, hi, law enforcement. You want to take that out?" So yeah.
I think mindset, one thing, some people are born with it as well, I believe that the aggression is something I've always had in me because I've been picked on. I've been bullied a lot when I was a kid. I have ADHD, learning difficulties on the mild spectrum of autism. I've always had people I've had all sort of shit happening to me as a kid. Do you know what I mean? And so at first I didn't want to fight back. So every time I got this, when I was on the floor getting kicked by fucking 10 angry kid in the schoolyard, you know what I mean? And I wasn't fighting back, or I was in the bus getting punched up by some guy and I wasn't fighting back. But every time I got that rage, it was like I was a glass. And every time somebody poured that aggression inside that glass until one day it became so full that it just went, it just fucking bursted everywhere. And
we're very similar, man. I had a very violent upbringing too. I mean, I saw people die as a child. I mean, I was beat, abused, molested. I mean, so all that kind of.
So was I, bro.
Yeah. So that's another reason why I really flocked to Lee or Jeff Thompson. You know his background. He was also.
Yeah.
So we channeled that shit through martial arts. Like martial arts saved my life. I mean, it really did. I mean, if I know my dad didn't know when he was teaching me that I would fall in love and his hobby would become my passion. I know he didn't have no fucking clue, but I thank God he did because I probably wouldn't. I mean, I would have went down a whole different path than what I did because of our upbringing and stuff. You know what I mean? So I agree with you. I think that because of our upbringing and because of our childhood that we had to get through that shit by fucking just throwing it the energy,
channeling the aggression.
You know what I mean? But as we get older, we need to learn how to throttle that energy because let me tell you something. Energy is transferable.
Absolutely.
Okay. So you ever talking to somebody and you're on the phone with them and something's just not right, and all of a sudden you go, "Are you okay?" And then they break down and they tell you, "How did you know something was wrong?"
Yeah,
because
I am like that, bro. I'm very, very empathetic. I can almost know what people are thinking, bro. It's scary,
because
bro.
Energy is transferable. So if we always have this fucking balled up energy and we hang around our families and our children and our grandchildren, I have grandkids now, our wives, we always have this, the whole fucking world around us will have a dark cloud over us.
Yeah.
If we don't learn how to dissipate that shit a little better.
Yeah.
And that was the hardest thing for me because I was always a physical, violent guy,
You know one thing, I'm thinking now, I'm looking at, there was a time when I was in France, when I was an adolescent, when I was around 13 years old, 12, 13 years old, which is when my mom sent me to live with my father because I was getting in so much trouble with the authorities, with the police at school. I was being expelled. Everywhere I was going, I was putting people against me. Everywhere I was going. And it was like, I'm thinking now, I'm looking back and I'm thinking, fuck, I was involved with gangs. I was stealing cars. I was doing bad shit. Do you know what I mean? Robbing people in the street. It's stuff that, I'm like, shit, I'm looking back and I'm like, I could have gone completely different. I could have gone a completely different path. And
but
I remember
martial
one
arts saved your life too, it sounds like.
day, I remember one day my father, that's actually the day when my father came to pick me up to take me to Eastern Europe with him, where he said, look, you gotta make a decision here. Plus he was a copper. My father, has been in the military, parachute regiment soldier, and then the police forces. He was an instructor.
I'm amazed he didn't whip your ass.
Yeah. Do you know what? My father, the funny thing about him, he's whooped my ass 3 times in my life. Only 3 times. But I will remember these 3 times all my fucking life. All my life.
My dad never touched me. It was always my mom.
But my father always used this. He didn't have to raise his hand. I was so scared of my father that he only had to raise his voice or look at me like that. I've thrown a little bit and my tears would come, bro. That's how bad it was. And so at that point, I remember him saying to me, you got to make a decision there, son. You got to think what you want to do, because the day when you go to jail, I will fucking disown you. That's what he said to me. The day when you get in jail, that's it. That'll be over between you and I. That will be fucking over. And that made me think. And anyway, he took me to Latvia. Well, at first I had to go to one of his friends that had a tourism company in Lapland, in Finland. And I stayed there for like 2-3 months. And then my father came to pick me up, said, you're coming to live with me in Latvia. So, and that's where I started in Latvia. Then I moved to Lithuania, and I grew up. I spent about 10 years in but something like that in Eastern Europe. And so I'm thinking to myself, what I grew up with? Do you know Dragon Ball Z?
Yeah.
I fucking love Dragon Ball. I'm a big fan. I am a massive fan of Dragon Ball Z. I'll be watching Dragon Ball Z all my life.
Yeah.
Until I die, I'll be watching Dragon Ball Z. And after I die, I'll go and train with Goku and the Z Fighters, bro. Seriously. That's how much I love it. Yeah. But when I look at the emotional content have you watched the saga?
Yeah. Dragon Ball Z?
Yeah, Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah.
When you watch the emotional content there, to kind of go back to the mindset. This is one I can tell it's a part of me. It's a part of me. I used to get so fucking upset in my adolescence that I used to yell like a fucking Dragon Ball Z character, hoping that I would fucking turn Super Saiyan and start fucking, bro. And so now when I'm thinking, when I'm thinking, how do I get this emotional content, and how do I keep this in a cage? How do I keep the dragon in the cage? How do I access antisocial behavior called clinical aggression killer mentality in a fraction of a second, but keeping control of it? I always remind myself of Goku, because Goku is the nicest guy. Is the best it's my favorite superhero, because he's the guy that thinks about other people before he thinks of himself.
Yes.
If you think about Christ consciousness, universal consciousness, cosmic consciousness, Goku would be the perfect representation of cosmic consciousness.
I never thought about it that way, yeah.
He's a guy that loves life so much that he'll get out of his way to save a fucking bird nest, instead of going to his best friend's wedding.
Yeah.
But he can destroy the earth from the tip of his finger. That's how fucking strong the fucker is. Do you know what I mean? So when you think about this, that's what I love about it, because I like the yin and yang. I like the fact that you can be the most dangerous person on the planet, or one of them at least, or be capable of extreme violence.
Yes.
But on the other side, being such a really, and I know I'm a very, very soft and gentle guy as well, because I've always been very much.
The people who are capable of extreme violence are very compassionate also.
Yeah. Compassion. I feel people's pain. It's like I've sometimes when people are sad, I want to cry. Seriously, that's how And there are people bad mouthing me because I'm emotional.
What month are you? What's your sign?
I am Virgo.
Virgo.
I'm actually on the verge of Virgo and Libra. I'm on the
Gotcha.
23rd of September, brother.
Yeah. 23rd of September.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got married on the 22nd. My grandfather's birthday is the 22nd.
Yeah, see?
That's funny. Yeah.
Hey, I think there's nothing wrong with being emotional as long as you can control those emotions. Do you know what I mean?
Well, yeah, it goes like that with any kind of emotion. You can't have too much of a certain thing. You got to be able to blend it. You know, you can't be so emotional where you just crying all day long. You can't leave the house.
I'm not like that, but let's say I sense things very deeply.
And my wife's the same way also. Yeah.
Yeah. And I can, some people are a bit harsher in the way that they are. And, you're like, whoa, just relax, man.
Always.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. The mind is the biggest puzzle of it all, brother.
Yeah.
The mind is the most complicated martial art you'll ever train.
Oh, yeah. You are your worst enemy, innit? We are the strongest enemy that we have.
Yeah.
And we need to turn that enemy into a friend. We need to stop the war in there, because for the war to stop in the physical and material reality, in the physical realm, the war has to stop in the mental and spiritual realm and emotional realms. Like emotions are energy in motion. When you think like the emotional body, you can feel when you're angry, you can feel it in your body, like you can feel that emotion building up in your chakra system. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So when you think about all this, it's like, for a long time, I've been asking myself, how do I find peace? All this stuff that we do, bro. We're good. We look good. We can smash pads. We can smash shit. We look good. And people look at us and they're like, fuck, that guy can fucking do stuff. Certainly, I wouldn't like to be in front of him. But how do we find inner peace? How do we stop fighting? How do we stop the violence? By realizing where the violence comes from in the first place.
You get to the point where none of that shit matters anymore. The only thing that matters is what we leave behind.
Yeah.
You don't want to leave behind just violence.
No, you want to leave a message.
That's why I got out of the business and I became so zen. I don't even like to yell and argue anymore. I mean, I will watch boxing matches. I don't watch MMA. For one, a lot of it's too damn sloppy in my mind, but also because it's, I don't even really watch, like, I watch an action movie every now and then, but like I try to blend it, I try to keep myself baseline.
I'm the same. I'm very, very careful now, the sort of information and content that I consume.
Yeah, well, me too. I consume so much violence education content where I don't have time to put that fake shit into it. Because I'm still very much a student of violence. So I'm still reading, I'm still studying, I'm still taking seminars whenever I can. I'm still teaching it a lot. So when I teach it, I got to go there. And I know that. I'm known for being able to, when I teach a seminar, people fucking look at me like, that dude turned it up like it was the real deal. You know what I mean? And I want them to see that. Like, I have people all the time. I have a guy on one of my videos the other day. He said, I love this guy, but why does he always looks like he wants to kill someone? That was his comment. And I sit back and I'm like, I'm a big teddy bear, brother. I said, the reason why I do this.
That's the mindset.
Because that's part of it. And if you don't have that,
we got different facets. People have got different facets to their personality. So, for example, somebody sees you at a seminar and that's all they've seen of you. And when they go home, that's the image that they have of you. They think Billy Brown is a big brute. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. But then, then let's say now we have that conversation. We sit down, we have a nice meal, we have a cup of coffee. And now Billy Brown is a completely different person. I've had people judging me, telling me I got ego because they've seen one aspect of me. They've seen one facet of my personality, and they think they know me. But I'm like, no, mate, you don't know me. That's not me all the time. That's just me there and then. If I'm nervous, you will see.
If I'm being honest to myself and teaching with conscience, I have to show them that side of it. The fucking terminology. I don't speak like that all the time. I don't just go around, but I have to do that. Because words can shut people down just as quick as a punch.
Oh yeah.
I have made people piss themselves. I was known for
Thompson used to say.
Yeah.
Some
So
people
I
will
have,
capitulate with the word F.
yeah,
Do you know what I mean?
I have to show them that side of it. I have to show them how I have to show them the change in character and facial expression, and I have to show them all that because that's combat, that's violence.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you remember that Bruce Lee's movie? I think it was The Return of the Dragon, when they go in the backyard of the restaurant and the guy holds the shield for him and he's about to kick back. Do you remember how Bruce Lee goes from smiling and then his face changes? And
Everything
then
changes.
he's like, then he throws that mid kick, that time mid kick on that pad.
Well,
If you look,
an even better way to see that, and it's way more than that, but when they take him out and the cops take him out,
oh
and
yeah,
and he just looks at him and goes, ah, and just fucking gets killed.
At the end of the movie, and then he jumps at the end of the movie. Yeah.
But that's that killer instinct dial, you know.
That is the dial. Yeah, that's the dial from nice person to you're turning to something.
Because sadly, this is the reality of it all. Sadly, sometimes the only way to stop real violence is to have better, more educated fucking violence.
Like Lee says, you know, you want to access a level of aggression that will totally eclipse the level of aggression of the assailant.
That's right.
Yeah.
And it's not wrong for us. Do you ever watch this guy just come in my radar about a year ago, and I do very much enjoy him, but Peterson,
Who?
Jeff Peterson, I think I'm gonna send you the link to this guy, but he's a philosopher.
Is he a psychologist?
Yes.
Jordan Peterson.
Yes.
Amazing. I love that guy.
Love that fucking guy, man.
Yeah, he's great.
But he says, you know, it's okay to be a very capable and dangerous man.
Yeah. He said it. I love the way he says it. A harmless man is not a good man. A good man is a very dangerous man that's got it under voluntary control.
That's right.
Yeah. Because you need. It's like Carl Jung. Are you familiar with Carl Jung?
Yes.
Carl Jung, who followed Sigmund Freud's work, who says you got to do the shadow work. You got to know. You got to explore your shadow aspect. And in order for you to explore the shadow aspect, mate, you got to dive into shadows. You got to go and meet your demons. You got to go and meet your demons face on. And
that's why Jeff Thompson was so important in my evolution, because he was speaking that way years ago. You know?
Yeah, and he done it a different way. The way that I did my shadow work, I cheated a little bit. You know, I use help. I use ancient shaman. I went to drink ayahuasca. Yeah. I went to drink ayahuasca 3 times, and I've worked with peyote. I've worked with some pedro mushrooms. I've worked with a lot of plant medicine, and it helped me. It built me into the man I am today. I was I was suffering of social anxiety. I would have never been able to do what we're doing now, going live with someone. I was out of question, bro. When I started to learn to film myself, I couldn't even put 2 sentences together, bro. Do you know what I mean? So ayahuasca gave me the opportunity to face my demons face on, and I had no choice. I had to do it. It wasn't pretty. It wasn't nice, but it was worth it. It was worth it.
We have some questions over here, it looks like.
Questions? Where?
Do you see that?
Can you see questions?
Yeah. Number one.
Chat.
Hi, Julian.
Oh, yeah, we got. Sorry, I didn't see that. Hi, Julian, watching live. Like the beard trim. I'm a big fan of Billy Brown. No. Cheers, man.
Thank you, brother.
How to access aggression. That's what I'm struggling with. Well, I think that we did cover that, but we can add a bit more if you want.
Ultimately, it starts at your training. It starts at the training as real as you can and becoming, like I said, a student of violence. And then working that mental game while you're doing that, I think. I think that when we talk about this mental game, that's the one thing that us as instructors can't just give you a blueprint how to do it and teach you right now.
Somebody you have to experience for yourself.
How to be aggressive. Yeah. Or how to have a mental game, or how to understand violence, or how to not let our body's natural chemical responses to violence shut us down. It's something you're going to have to find within your own self, and ultimately, I think. But I think the training and more experience, will definitely do that.
For me, I'd say, as far as my experience, I'd say that, sometimes you have to face enough pain, you have to endure enough pain, enough judgment, enough bullying to one day go, fuck this, I'm not going to take this anymore. And this is what happened to me. But unfortunately, you need to be careful. It's like using the analogy of the boat in the storm. You're gonna rock left and you're gonna rock right. And that's what happened. I went from left, which was not defending myself and getting punched up and attacked by 10 people and being in a curl in the ball and and not doing anything and still having all that aggression after, when I should have had it right there and then when it happened. I went from this to completely going crazy and not being able to stop and go, fuck this, I'm not going to take shit anymore. And I'm going to do this now.
Yeah, I did the same
thing. Pain is the greatest teacher. Pain and suffering are the greatest teacher. One day you'll have enough to even the bullying is not always a physical bullying. It can also be emotional bullying, and it takes place everywhere in every social circle in your adult life. And
every human being on earth has that inside of them. You heard stories of little grandmothers lifting cars off of babies.
Yes, we've heard this.
It's happened, that's because they channeled in and tapped in to that. They needed it, and they wasn't trained. Just think of if we trained it. And if
I always say every mother is a killer.
Yeah.
Every mother is a killer. Try and fuck with a mother's baby and see what happens to you.
Yeah.
Whether or not she's gonna have the physical tools and the actual body tools and skill set to be dangerous and to be clinical is different. But in terms of aggression, just try and fuck with a baby and see what.
I try to not use that term aggression, to be even honest with you. I try to use just more like a laser beam of driven fucking just educated chaos.
Combative mindset, controlled, unleashed aggression. That's how I like to call it.
Yeah.
Emotional content, like Bruce Lee used to say. Like Lee Morrison likes to call it indignation, righteous indignation.
I had a friend who passed away not long ago, but he was a pretty big name at one point also. But he used the term, 5 seconds of controlled insanity. I love that. I fucking wish I would have come up with that.
Controlled insanity. Yeah. That's good.
5 seconds of controlled insanity. So
have you watched? I've watched that movie for the first time 2 days ago. Once We're Warriors. Have you seen that?
Not yet. I don't think so. Is it good?
Yeah, with Temuera Morrison. Just look at. I mean, it's a very violent movie. It's not ideal. It's in New Zealand. Yeah, it's showing basically.
Is it on Netflix?
I'm not sure if it's on Netflix. It's old school. Yeah. It's 94, bro.
Oh, okay.
Just look at the guy, Temuera Morrison, who plays the guy called Jack the Moss.
Okay.
That dude is proper antisocial, but when he switches, you can see his face and his eyes, and it's really brilliant actor, man. You're like, fuck. Jack the Moss is like, that's who you want to be. That's who you want to be in a fight. You don't want to be, like Lee Morrison says on his program. He's got the psychology of violent confrontation, psychology of combat, how to access a supra state, how to access your alter ego, basically, how to build up this character in your head that it's not who you are every day, but it's who you are prepared to be right there and then in order to deal with shit. And Jack the Moss is probably the best person to be in a violent confrontation. Yeah. Not afraid of shit. He's never going to move back. He's going to move forward and go right
that out.
To you.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen that.
Watch it, bro. It's good. It's good.
Outstanding, man.
So in terms of mindset, that's what it is. Very important. I'm sure we could talk a bit more about it, but let's move on to something else, shall we?
Okay.
How about now that if we speak with violence, let's speak about pre-threat indicators. Let's speak about situational awareness. Let's speak about environmental awareness and behavioral awareness.
I use the term ABC, attack behavioral cues.
Okay.
So the whole thing about preemption is very obviously in the UK you can get away with that a little more. Here, though, you have to be able to prove reason to doubt that you had to do exactly what you had to do when you had to do it. you know.
Yeah.
Now the thing is, the human body is equipped. We used to run away from saber-toothed tigers. We know when a threat is imminent, but we have programmed those ancient skill sets out of us because we're always in our phones, always on our computers. You know, we live this very sedentary type of existence now where we're not we're not having to run from saber-toothed tigers. But shit, some of the shit that's happening in the world right now, I'd rather run from a saber-toothed tiger. I live with 2 bobcats, you know what I mean? I'd rather run from a saber-toothed tiger. But we have to start programming that again. We have to disconnect ourselves. When we're out in the world, we have to disconnect ourselves from the world to be able to see the world. That's the biggest thing. We stay so connected and so just fucking just plugged in, so to speak, that we lose sight of what's really going on around us. I'll tell you a story that just happened yesterday. My wife not only runs my 2 businesses, but she's also a manager at a huge business here in Orlando. And last night, everybody's just having fun and working at their work. They're starting to close up and stuff. One of the longtime employees, while everybody's having fun and just doing what they do, getting in that repetition, he just skims $4,000 right from underneath them. And by the end of the night, everybody's having fun and saying, "See you tomorrow." He fucking lays the fucking his tag down and stuff and just walks out with $4,000 on him, disappears. Why didn't they see that? He went to 5 different, underneath each cash register, there's a vault. This kid had the key to the vault. He went to 5 different cash registers and just grabbed $1,000, put it in his pocket. He did this throughout the day. This was a very planned and very thought out heist. So nobody noticed because everybody was just plugged into the norm. Well, the world's not normal. I have this thing I call CAA, C-A-A, cautious, alert, and aware. CAA, C-A-A. So that's not paranoid. That's just survival. We have to remain that way. So when I'm out and about, this phone isn't in my hand.
Yeah.
I'm not on my phone. I'm making eye contact with every human being I see. I'm smiling usually because let me tell you something. A smile is a very powerful thing.
Absolutely.
A smile can tell you, "I love you to death. Good seeing you." But it can also tell you that I'm not the one, motherfucker. I will bite your nose off. It can tell you that because energy is transferable. So when we do that, when we unplug ourselves from the world, when we're in the world, then we become more in tune with our environment. Yeah. And I think all of that's important to understand when it comes to, attack behavioral cues before you have to switch it on and go violent. I think that people miss the times they should have done it, and that's how they get hurt.
Yeah, you miss that window of opportunity when it's time to go.
I have been at red lights before, and I see something that's just not right, and I back my car up just a little bit. 2 cars, it's right, just crash right where I was. I've had that shit happen, man.
And you've seen it a fraction of a second before. You've spotted that moment.
That's it. Now, I wouldn't have done that if I was on my phone playing with my radio and shit,
No, you would have never spotted that micro cue, that micro pre-threat cue.
So I think if you train that constantly and make that repetition become habit, because everybody always says that repetition's the mother of skill. I like to say repetition breeds habit, and habit is the mother of skill. But the bad thing about that is it's very easy to develop a very bad habit.
And it's very difficult to unlearn a bad habit.
Right. So if we start developing habits like what I just talked about, then we will be able to pick up that threat cue a little quicker. Hopefully. I think that's and again, instructors don't talk about this shit.
No. It's quite rare. I mean, when you look in the military, that the stuff that we have, the color codes, like Jeff Cooper's color codes, code white, code yellow alpha, code orange, code red, code gray, code black, all that stuff is a different state of consciousness, also associated with different heart rates, different brain waves. and you know, you got to know where you are in that space. And
And I
what
think
I'm
it's
always
okay.
saying,
It's perfectly fucking okay to stay switched on. You don't
yeah,
need to stay paranoid. But
that's it. You want the balance between paranoid and completely. It's the same like when I said to people, you don't want to be aggressive, you don't want to be passive, you want to be assertive. Yeah. But that's the same thing. That's the same thing with situational awareness. I'm always, to be fair, I've always been, it's a second nature for me. I'm very observant guy. I can spot I can spot people's reaction, even micro facial expression. I've always been really good at that sort of thing. So when
And today,
somebody is up to no good,
it scares me to death. A year ago, shit. It's February 9th is coming up. Last February 9th, I was hit by a Jeep, dragged 2 lanes, almost lost my foot.
yeah, I remember. I've seen the post.
Remember all this?
Yeah.
So I was switched off for that 1 fucking second and nearly lost my life. Yeah. Luckily, I switched it on and pushed my wife out of the way, or she would have died.
Yeah.
Because I seen that fucker coming and I pushed her and he fucking hit me.
Did you find that? Did you find that guy?
No, he stayed. I have to give that man credit. He fucking stayed, and he was shaking. I mean, he just wasn't fucking paying attention. He was on some pain medication, so I think he was a little slower than he should have been. Yeah. I don't think he was on like serious narcotics, but he had a back injury, so they were giving him like, I don't know.
You shouldn't be driving at that point. Do you know what I mean? If you're not fit to drive, then you shouldn't be driving.
No. But that one moment,
did you get compensation at least? No,
he didn't have no insurance.
Fuck.
And we talked about suing, but he probably don't have nothing. So I'm like, you know, my foot was saved. I'm in pain. I mean, I hurt. More things to add to the list of pain, you know. But it taught me a valuable lesson of the shit that I always say: stay switched on. You know, that's a prime example. So it terrifies me when I see these little college kids around town walking across streets looking at their phone. It fucking terrifies me.
Completely oblivious.
I will roll the window down and say, "Get off your fucking phone." You know?
You know what? That's one thing as well that's not being spoken about, is how people are chosen as victims. You know, like the predatory optic. How do a predator select its prey?
Well, the predator select the prey, but
he will select somebody that's completely oblivious. Yeah, somebody fixated on something. If you're alone, if there is any sign of mental or physical impairment, any sign of weakness, any sign of being oblivious of your surroundings.
Very rarely do the people that are making eye contact with a grin or a smile at every human being, holding their shoulders back with their jaw up, walking through life, they're never the ones that get attacked.
And you get
nobody's going to attack guys that look like me and you, apart from me maybe being thicker. Nobody's going to attack us.
But the thing,
nobody attacked me when I was 150 pounds.
It comes down to body language as well, bro. Do you know what I mean? Let's say I live in a bit of a shit neighborhood here. When I've had a few run-ins with the kids, they know I've planted the flag. I'm the naked man with the samurai sword. I'll tell you the story later on. But tell you what, when I see them just giving shit to everyone at the shop, and I see there's like fucking 5 or 10 of them, and the way that I walk is different. The message that I portray is different, and they know that I'm not to be fucked with. And then there is this, not with them particularly, because now every time they see me, they look the other way around. Do you know what I mean? Because we've had a few history with them. But in general, you got something called predatory recognition, that predatory nod. When somebody looks at you and you know they can fucking fight, they can scrap, they know you can scrap, and they're like, all right, bro. Yeah.
Well, yeah, your job is to be able to, energy's transferable. And the kind of energy that you want to portray is that you're not the predator here, motherfucker. I am. Yeah. I'm the shark.
Even if it's not true, as if you believe it to be true, it's operational.
Exactly. And that's why a lot of you can even a female that does these things, she's never gonna get raped. She's never gonna get attacked.
Yeah. They want easy prey. The lion wants an easy prey. The lion is not going to go after another lion. The lion is going to go after a gazelle or a zebra. Yeah.
You know, I had the fortune of in 2001, I was working in New Orleans, and a task force was being put together to catch a very prolific serial killer by the name of Derek Todd Lee. You can Google him. And he was a very unique serial killer because he was changing his MO up a lot. And he was killing college students. Then the news said he's killing only college students. Then like the next day he killed a 60-year-old woman. I mean, he was a family man. He was a husband, had kids. So this task force was put together. FBI was part of it, local police department, and an organization by the name of CASK, C-A-S-K, Citizens Against Serial Killers. They formed, and what they did was they sent out people to interview martial art instructors, military instructors, cops. They wanted to put together a self-defense program that was a little unique than what was already being taught. And some very well-known, like, you remember RAD? You remember the organization RAD, R-A-D-D?
No.
I forgot what it even stood for, to be honest with you. But anyway, they interviewed a bunch of people. I'm proud to say that my program is the one they chose. So with these people, with the help of all these different forces, they sent me around every week to different parts of Louisiana. They would rent out entire casino boats on the Mississippi River, the whole floor. They would pack it with 150 women. I had to teach with a microphone on. And they would put me on the news, and I would talk to this fucking serial killer. I mean, and then working with the police department, what they did was they gave me access to serial killers. Well, not all serial killers, but killers in prison. And they let me interview these guys. And I interviewed 3 serial killers. Well, killers. I don't know serial. I think it's 3 or more, but I interviewed people who brutally killed people. Right.
Right.
And and I was only like fucking 22 years old doing this. So it was a big shift in my psyche.
Yeah.
But what was unique about it and things that really taught me was that these guys, and by the way, they were agreeing to do this because they were getting like extra commissary, and they were getting perks for helping us try to catch this serial killer. Right. Yeah. So I remember talking to these 3 guys that I talked to. All 3 of them were very different people, did different crimes, used different weapons, killed different types of people, but they all had a couple things in common. One, they all fucking trained.
Yeah.
They said they actually trained whatever their thing was. They trained it. They wanted to get good at their thing. Whether
criminals are trained.
They train more than most fucking martial artists do. You know what I mean? Okay, so they were trained, and then 2, they all admitted that when they're formulating their attack plan and analyzing their prey, they picked people who walked around the world with their head down, looking like they were lost, with no energy. They picked those kind of victims.
Yeah.
You know, and that says a lot, man, because it's just the most badass fucking murderer on earth doesn't want the chance to pick someone who's going to make his job easier or harder.
Yeah.
He wants to pick something that's going to make his job very easy.
He wants to get paid, easy money.
And the ones that fought back not only were more likely to survive the attack, but less likely to suffer distress symptoms afterwards.
Yeah.
That's a fact.
That is another thing. That is another very interesting subject. Is, as I said, there is always a beginning, a middle, and an end. And it's the post-fight confrontation and the implication, the psychological, emotional implications on the long term of people that suffer from post-traumatic stress. You got a lot of soldiers. You got a lot of soldiers nowadays that are suffering of these conditions because of the fucked up, violent situations that they're being through. Yeah. So, you know, that's why the consequences of violence is always negative. You know, you're like, right, even if you dealt with it, the simple fact that you might have seen somebody died, you might have seen somebody get stabbed, you might have seen stuff that it's never going to leave you. It's never going to leave your psyche. Yeah. It's always going to be here. It's going to come back at night. It's going to.
Now, how you learn to file it is a different story.
Yes.
You know? Like all the violence I've ever seen, I've seen people killed right in front of me. But the thing that haunted me the longest was a kid on the side of the road dying in my arms after he flipped his truck and got his whole arm and shoulder ripped off by a light pole, by a light wire. And
Fuck.
I'm trying to I take my shirt off and I'm holding I could see into his body. And I remember the smell and I remember his grunts, and I'm trying to save this. And his injuries was way past my pay grade of basic CPR, right?
Yeah.
But I'm trying to save him while the truck's on fire, while I'm calling it. You know, that shit, I couldn't eat meat for a year almost after that, because every time I saw red meat, it reminded me of that kid's orifice in his body. Yeah. That shit stuck with me a lot more than all of the violence I've ever done. You know
when I was about 11 years old, the sister of one of my schoolmates killed herself, fell from the 12th floor of a tower flat, and her brain was leaking outside her head on the fucking pavement.
And she did it, or she accidentally fell?
Yeah, that's what we've been told. She probably accidentally fell from the window.
Didn't suicide. Wow. Okay.
I don't know. All I know is I will always remember that picture will always stay with me.
This is why, because I've asked myself why over the years that bothered me so much. Because when we have to defend ourselves and when we have to initiate violence, we made a constant thought to do so. Yeah. But when chaos and death and injury and violence is thrown at us, that stays with us a little bit longer. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's different when you initiate it than when you get it. So it's like when you get, it's like giving and receiving sort of thing. Yeah. And it's like also one thing that that is very important. That's why you see a lot of people that freeze. And I have been in that situation. I have froze before, and I had to really what really helped me stop freezing was stepping on the ring and start fighting on the ring and then working the doors. Do you know what I mean? But basically, it's that point when you're like, right, when I go, I need to tell myself, if I go, I go. Do you know what I mean? Once I made my choice, I need to fucking go. And if I have to tear the guy's windpipe with my bare hands and bite his ear off and spit it in his face, I need to be able on a mental and emotional level to be ready to get to that point without any hesitation. Because in that point, hesitation will kill you. Because if you don't do it,
time kills us. Yeah, time kills us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, interesting. Let me think for a second. Let me think what we could. Should we slowly get towards something a bit more, stuff that we spoke about last time?
Maybe,
stuff that's interesting. I think that all martial artists, a lot of martial artists that I know of, especially people that got really, really good at their game, at some point do have some sort of spiritual awakening. And all of them have got stories to tell. I know you've got stories to tell. You spoke to me about it last time. I've seen a few. I've experienced a few things as well in my life. When I was little, I used to speak to whatever. I wasn't alone. I was speaking to. I had imaginary. Well, that's what I've been told. Oh, these are imaginary friends. No, these were not imaginary friends. I had friends.
Kids and animals
can see.
More, because they're not. It's not ingrained out of them yet.
Yes, because the cordon to the universe has not been severed by the educational system and the, because when you speak to yourself as a kid, it's normal to you. But then you go to school and they see you doing that, and everybody laughs at you, and you're like, because of the pain of the shame and the pain of being judged, you cut this cordon and you say bye to these entities that you speak to when you're a kid.
That's right. A lot of these are going in my book, so I don't want to say too much, but I will tell you one good story. It's going to be in the book too. But I'll go ahead and like that. But let me preface it with this: the more you get spiritually, and we don't even need to go into what you believe, but the more you get in tune spiritually, the more that side will want to meet you.
Yeah, what you seek is seeking you. Check this,
exactly.
brother.
Exactly.
It should be somewhere here. One sec. Where is one of them? One sec. Yeah, what I seek is seeking me.
Oh, yeah. There you go. Wow.
Yeah. So, that's true, man. Whatever you align your energy field with will
Right.
manifest into your field.
There was a huge time in 2004, 2005 where I got so spiritually in tuned where they were sending me to churches to do. I called them. Um, uh, damn. I had this good term, and
Exorcism.
I never wanted to call it like. I never considered myself like a pastor or a I didn't want to call them like preaching. I never liked that. I called them instructional. Shit, I don't even remember now at this point. It's been so long, and I go to show you how bad it is. But I actually have one of these sermons on YouTube that I'll send you of me teaching, and
Okay.
it's pretty amazing. I mean, it doesn't even. I listen to it now. I'm like, wow, it doesn't even sound like me. Wow, I was smart. I was so in tune, but I was getting attacked by the demonic side for a very long time there. And I was living with my grandmother in Louisiana. I was staying with her at the time. My girlfriend at the time was in Tennessee, so about 800 miles away. And I just got finished teaching. I think the one that I'm going to send you is the one I taught. And instructional testimonies. I used to call them instructional testimonies. So I just got finished teaching. We were back. So I get this idea to study, to do some study. And then I'm like, you know what? And this is when like the downloading and the P2P or the bootlegging was getting real popular. This was like 2004, right? So I downloaded me a movie called The Exorcism of Emily Rose. You seen that shit?
Yeah, I've seen that. I went to see it in the cinema when it got out.
Oh, did you? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I downloaded it, and now my grandmother was my spiritual leader, and she was I tell you this the other day, like when me and my ex used to be fighting 3 a.m., we'd be fighting across states. All of a sudden, a call from a 70-year-old woman. Calm down, Billy. It's okay. It's going to be okay. Y'all just need to calm down and go to bed. Like she would do shit like that all the time, right? I mean, she was so just in tune with just the last 20 years of her life, she didn't sleep in the bed one time. She'd stayed in a rocking chair and prayed for people. Like it was insane. Like this woman never slept. And she taught me so much, and I miss her so much. But so I watched this movie, and I'm in the back of the house. It's a flat, one of them old 1950s flat homes, big but just flat, And I'm in the room. She's up front in her rocking chair, praying for me, probably, hopefully. And so usually when I watch a movie based on a true story, I'll wait for you to get that.
You, Robert. All right. I'm just grabbing that piece of sage since we're talking about.
Yeah. Demons. Oh yeah. Does this work? My cigar. So usually when I watch a movie, any movie, doesn't have to be a scary or horror movie, any movie, I have this thing about me where I have to research the actual story in depth. Yeah. So I watched this movie and I went deep dive, dark web type style on this research. I found 2 of the actual exorcisms on audio. And then I found real pictures of her and her progression through this whole thing, which was horrible. And these 2 exorcism things just shook you so. I mean, this little girl was speaking German, Russian. I mean, it was just, and you heard the demon in her. I mean, you heard the fear in the priest, which was, you could hear it on this audio.
Yeah.
So finally, I say I'm done with this for tonight. It's like 4 a.m., 3 a.m. I said I'm done with this for tonight. I turned the lights off in the room. I lay in bed. As soon as I turned the lights off, a darkness just kind of fucking just fell over me. That was darker than anything I've ever experienced. And it had this heavy weight on me. Like it terrified me. I'm not going to lie. I'm very self-sufficient, not only with real human violence, but in the spiritual world too. Even more so then. But so this darkness just falls over me. And I'm on my side, and all of a sudden I look up, and I see this shadow on top of me, like in a guard position. I see one hand in my thigh, one hand around my throat. No features at all. Everybody talks about demons as being like green goblins. I've never had that experience. I never saw like a monster. It just looked like darkness. But you could still break out the features, the arms and the shoulders, and he's choking the shit out of me. He's squeezing my thigh, and I get rid of it right away. And my grandmother taught me how to get rid of that years ago, and I got rid of it. It's like a vacuum that just sucks it into the corner of the room. And soon as I did that, I hear my grandmother scream down the hall. And I've never heard her scream before. She was a very powerful woman. Nothing scared her. So I jump out of bed and I limp because my leg is hurt, and I limp. And I run down the hall, and she's in the rocking chair praying and shaking, and she's praying and she's doing her rosary. And I'm like, Mama, what's wrong? She goes, they just came in and tried to kill me. I'm like, oh shit. And I said, I remember these words. I remember going, Mama, I think I did this. And she goes, Billy Joe, whenever she called me by my middle name, she goes, Billy Joe, what did you do? And we flipped on the lights, and she goes, go give me a glass of water. She's shaking. And I get her a glass of water, so I explain what I did. So she goes, well, let's pray. So we prayed for an hour and a half, 2 hours. And then she says, everything that you did, everything you downloaded back there on your computer, go delete it. So I went in the back, I deleted it. I came back to her. She says, I feel calm now. I think they're gone. I'm like, okay. We prayed again. We hugged. She called me stupid. And because she used to always say, you open up doors that are harder to close than they are to open.
You need to be careful. Those that your portals. These are interdimensional portals, man.
Yeah. So I turn the lights back off in my room, and I get back down, and it's real easy. No darkness this time, but I hear this little voice in my head. And I don't know if it was God. I don't know if it was my own psyche, but I hear this little voice in my head, and it says, it isn't finished. And as soon as I did, my cell phone, and back then, those flip phones you had, my cell phone.
Motorola's,
yeah. I had a razor. You remember those razors?
Okay.
Anyway, my cell phone rung. As soon as I hear the voice, my cell phone rings. I pick it up. It's my girlfriend 800 miles away. She's screaming and crying hysterically. She says, something is trying to kill me. That's her first words. My thought was, is there a man in the room? She goes, no, this is not human. She goes, it was just choking me. And she goes, I saw shadows all around my room. So right away, I knew what I just did. So it basically jumped from me to my grandmother. Everything I loved, it tried to destroy in a manner of hours. Okay. So me and my girlfriend prayed for another 2. So lights coming in the room. I'm still working on this spiritual warfare thing. It's been happening all night. I didn't want to go tell my grandmother again because I was hoping after what she'd been through that she was finally sleeping. So we prayed. My girlfriend goes, it's gone. Same type of vocab as my grandmother. It's so crazy. Like, it's trying to kill me. Something's trying to kill me. It's gone. My grandmother says it's gone. So my girlfriend goes, I got to get some sleep. I'm exhausted. She says, thank you. She goes, that was the most terrible. And she already knew some of this because me and her had talked about spiritual warfare and that kind of thing. So I'm laying in bed, the light's starting, the morning, the sun's starting to come through, and that little voice comes back. It's not finished. And then I remembered all of those pictures of Emily Rose on my computer. I deleted the movie. I didn't delete any of the exorcism audio or nothing. I went inside, deleted that shit. Boom, it was all done. That's crazy. That's crazy. And that goes to show you that I don't know what you call it, but energy is transferred.
We live in a world where we can only perceive 3% of the electromagnetic spectrum of light. So there's 97% of reality out there that we cannot perceive because because it's not even about our brain. We don't use our full cerebral capacity because what scientists call junk DNA is no junk DNA. It's inactive. It's dormant. It's dormant DNA. What?
You're for sure right, but here's the kicker. The next day I woke up and my quad is black, and my neck's black from where he choked me.
Yeah.
5 years to the day of that encounter, I tear that quad in half, and it almost ended my career. 5 years to the day with that, I tear the hamstring on this leg. Now The ankle's been broke twice. All legs. You see, they attack what you use. My grandmother, for example, they attack her vocal cords because she's a big speaker and she was a big speaker in prayer, and I rebuke you in the name. I mean, she was just aggressive with that. So they would shut her up when she was doing it. Me, because I use my legs to teach and to do all that, they've always attacked my legs. Crazy, man. Insane. Yeah.
I've had some type of not near as intense as what you just described now, but I've had some demonic experience. But it was you could put it down to a bad trip because it was induced by plant medicine, psychedelics.
Oh yeah.
And I've had once in Southampton, when I was in Southampton, I've had a really, really bad episode where I was spewing black stuff, man. It was fucking horrible, man. And although I couldn't see anything with my eyes open, when I was closing my eyes, I could see the visuals and I could see the demonic faces, and I could see a lot of jaws with teeth, with sharp teeth, and that stuff that stayed with me for a long time.
You take the psychedelics, it opens up that realm for you a little more.
And one thing, because obviously, there's a lot of people that might listen to what we're saying and goes, "Oh, fuck it, that conversation was interesting, and now it just went from interesting to stupid." But tell you what, mental health and angels and demons are two of the very same thing. That we just give it different names. Demons are fears. Fears are alive. Fears are thought forms that are alive, living in your mind, feeding off your energy field. If you look into Eckhart Tolle, Eckhart Tolle, The Power of Now, the book, The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle.
Yeah.
The way that Eckhart Tolle puts it down, he puts it down to the pain body. The pain body that is basically trapped energy inside the body, and it keeps feeding. It's like the monster inside that you keep feeding by thinking about these negative things, the negative thought forms that they send at you in order to extract your vital energy. That's what demons are. The people don't want to call them demons because now they've watched too many movies and they think, right.
Yeah, and even if you don't want to put a label on it, let's be honest with ourselves. We can't figure out the shit that we live in every day. But you're telling me you have the world figured out?
No.
For forever, UFOs don't exist. This and that.
UFOs, I've seen them.
The government just admitted to it, and guess what? People ignored it because face masks that don't protect against basic smells and a 99% fucking cure was more important than the government making the biggest announcement of our life.
Yeah.
That exists. We've been tracking them for years.
Yeah.
But nobody even talks about that. They'd rather talk about can men and women use can little boys and little girls use the same toilet. They'd rather talk about that.
Have you got enough toilet paper? Well, when I could see all the people fucking with big fucking bags of toilet paper, and I was like, what are you doing, man?
Now, if you think about it, it seems kind of that strategic move. They give us a disclosure isn't just throwing it all at us. I think disclosure is feeding you a little bit, throwing up more shit you forget about what they just fed you. And they feed you a little bit.
That's their strategy. They put something big here on your left to misdirect you from what's happening on the right. That's their tactic. That is what they do.
I grew up with military men. Every one of them had stories. Every one of them had stories of seeing shit in war. Yeah. Every one of them. But yet they were scared to say it back then or to bring that back because the government told them not to.
Yeah.
That's why you have to wait till these people on their deathbed. These people are admitting this stuff because now they
have their family threatened. They would have their family threatened to keep them quiet.
Yeah.
You know what? I told you I'll tell that story again because I'll tell now that we got that podcast.
Yeah,
I told you what I've seen in Latvia when I was I must have been 15 years old at that point. Yeah, My father bought a land in Latvia, in the countryside of Latvia. That was in the asshole of Latvia, in the middle of nowhere, bro. And I remember he chose that property for a very particular reason. As he was driving past, he realized that it was sunny everywhere and there was a massive fucking cloud on the top of the house. So it was a very magnetic, very electromagnetic place. And he passed in front of it and he seen that. And another day he passed it, and it was raining everywhere. It was cloudy everywhere, but there was a big opening with a clear sky on the top of that property. And he was like, there's something about that property. So he bought that property. And maybe like 5 years later that he bought that property, or maybe 3-4 years later, it's about 4 o'clock in the morning. I got a bus to take to Riga, which is the capital of Latvia. The place used to be called Drusti, if any people know about it. In between Jaunpiebalga and Cesis, two different cities. And one morning, I'm on my own on the property. My father is not there; he's gone on a mission in Moscow, and I'm there going to Riga. And as I'm going out, one thing I need to precise is that there were maybe three people that had money in that countryside. All the rest were very poor majority of people. Do you know what I mean? And so I'm walking out and I feel a flash, but it was so strong and so blinding flash that it was like, imagine if I was right next to you with a photo camera with the flash on and I just go, ching, do you know what I mean? That's how it felt. And I look around me and I'm like, fuck. And I'm thinking to myself, the only person that's rich enough to have a camera in here is my father, or of this guy that lives on the other side of the fucking village. And the first house is maybe like half an hour walk from where we are. So I'm like, who the fuck? It's 4:30 in the morning. And I have to walk through the property to the main road, which is not even a main road with asphalt. It's a countryside road. And so I'm looking everywhere around, and the next time I see it from the corner of my eye like a flash. And so I'm looking and it was gone. But the thing is that following that flash with like a humming noise, it's weird. If you would have heard it, you would know straight away that it was not of this world. Nothing like I ever heard before. It was like a mixture of a quite trumpet-like noise, and big cargo ships, where the horn, when they go, that big horn. It was a mixture of this and trumpet-like, but it was weird. If you were outside, you could hear it a mile away, but if you were inside, you wouldn't hear it. It's weird. But anyway.
There's places up there close to you that have this humming noise and people can't figure out what it is, and it's made people go insane.
I looked it up after. I know I'm not the only one that's seen that stuff because I looked it up after, and I'm not the only one. But bro, so I'm looking in that direction and I'm waiting, and I see it again 3 times after that. It was like a massive blue beam of light, straight as an arrow, bro, shooting from the sky all the way down. It was crazy, and it was accompanied by that noise. 3 seconds later, 3 seconds interval, that noise would come, and I was like, what the fuck am I looking at right there? Do you know what I mean? It made me rethink everything. And then, when I started to walk towards it, it stopped. And then I realized by remembering where it was above a lake. It was above a lake that's on the other side of the road. And it's a really deep lake. And the people have got stories. What?
Have you researched that lake? Has there been other sightings?
I don't think that there's been other sightings, or if there was, I don't know of it. But I'll tell you one thing about this lake. When my mother came to visit me one day at the same village, when I was living there, we went to that lake because I used to catch frogs over there. Do you know what I mean? I used to go and catch frogs over there. And my mom took a picture of the lake. And then one day we had a look at, she sent me the pictures later on, zoomed in. And we could see faces in the water, in the reflection of the water. You could see faces, bro. It was fucking weird, bro. That place was truly mystical. That was a really mystical place. And I said that to my father, and my father wasn't surprised. He said, look, I chose that place because it was calling me. There was something in here. But after seeing that, Billy, I was like, That's it. I know that there are some things in this world that we're not being taught about, and they are there. And the simple fact that people like you and I, because not everyone have seen these, and some people have seen it and they chose to be in denial. And
people have seen it. They just like I said, it's been
they're in
programmed.
denial.
It's been
Denial. Yeah. And
Just-
then again, it's like when you think about it, people like us have been chosen maybe to see that stuff. I don't know. It's like people going through their spiritual awakening. Not everyone is going through their spiritual awakening in this lifetime. For some people, it's going to take many more lifetimes.
maybe so.
Maybe old souls are ready to fucking move on and experience that sort of thing.
The biggest thing is anybody that feels like they have the whole world and beyond our universe figured out, but they their own fucking life. That's all those people that think, no, all those people that think we're alone in the universe. What? Do you know how big? Do you know how big the universe is? Nobody knows.
Imagine.
So it's kind of like it's almost like, do you really think that we're that important? Do you really look at you know what I mean?
We're a tiny little spot mark in
like a speck of water on the speck of water. And we can talk about one day we just need to maybe talk about some stories like this. But it is going in a book. The book's gonna be kind of a mixture between, it's called When the Streetlights Come On, and it's going to be stories of violence and stories of supernatural and stuff like this. But I am finishing it up now, so everybody stay tuned for that. Brother, I gotta go though. I gotta go.
You got another 5 minutes?
I got 5 more minutes.
Yeah. You got 5 more minutes for a little story? All right. Yeah. So I'll tell you what, we spoke about demons, but let's finish on a good note and speak about angels. Yeah.
Okay.
Because I've had an experience that the most profound experience in my life, which was my spiritual awakening. Which the best way that I can explain it was an angelic experience. Yeah.
Okay.
It was obviously triggered by a lot of pain, a lot of suffering in my life. And one day I had enough. I was in Glasgow in Scotland. That was around the time when I was training with Tommy Carruthers back in 2012. Okay. And I was at the time married to a Ukrainian woman.
I'm sorry if I keep looking up. It's not UFOs I'm looking at, guys. I got a bunch of squirrels playing in a tree above me, so I'm making sure those little bastards don't fall on me.
Throwing at you.
Yeah.
So tell you what, I was married to a Ukrainian woman called Mariana at the time. The thing is, we got married in Ukraine because we went to live in Ukraine for a year. What?
Them Ukraine.
Oh, gorgeous, brother. Gorgeous. My baby's mother is from Lithuania as well. Gorgeous as well. Yeah. Like Cameron Jazz lookalike. Her name is Migle. Yeah.
I dated a Ukrainian woman for a little while.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, yeah. I can't say dating, but we were friends.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I was married to one for 6 years. We've only been together for like three and a half years. Gotcha. But we didn't do the divorce papers straight away. I let her do her thing. She wanted to go and live in France. I met her in London. We couldn't get married in London, so we went to Ukraine, and we stayed there for about a year and a half, and we got married there. She wanted to go to France, and I didn't want to go back to France. I just wanted to go to train in Scotland with Tommy Carruthers. And so what we did is we went to France, put her in a flat, and I went to Glasgow. And, I came to see her a few times and stuff. But, long distance relationships don't really work very well, innit?
No, they don't.
And I was at that point where I fell out with Tommy and his guys because I really felt, I felt unwelcome at that basement school, to be honest with you, man. Some people, funny enough, his instructors were very nice with me. And to these days, I'm good friends with his instructors that are not even his instructors anymore. They fucked off. But anyway, I'm digressing here. I was very depressed. I was really, really depressed. My world was coming crashing down. I was on emotional breakthrough, actually. Very often breakdowns and breakthrough. And at this point, it was massive. I used to, basically what happened is, I used to go to the park at night around 2:00 in the morning in Glasgow, in the middle of Govan Hill, if people know. And I would look up and I would talk to the stars. I was crying. I was like, fuck, I had enough of all this suffering. Do you know what I mean? If there is someone, if someone can hear me, I need an answer. I need something. And I must end that suffering. At that point, bro, I didn't want to be alive, bro. Do you know what I mean? It was bad. And have been in that situation a few times in my life.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
Yeah, it's not a good place to be, man. It's not a good place to be. And so what happened is I had my first psychedelic experience. I had nothing to lose, man.
Yeah.
I just bunk a whole half a gram of MDMA. I've never touched it before. And I went home and I just did it on my own. I put some nice music. I still already used to listen to binaural beats, you know, solfeggio frequencies and stuff like that. And I listened to that. And what happened to me, it was crazy. People could say I've just hallucinated, but maybe it was an hallucination, but it changed my life forever. From being a very angry person, I became that very, very mellow person. I went from night and day in a night. And so I started to talk to myself. And I thought I was going crazy, bro. I was like, what the fuck is happening? But then the stuff that I was saying to myself, it's like I was talking to God, bro.
I do that now, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I could hear that voice in my head, but it was me. It was speaking through me. But I knew that I was in touch with something much greater than me, something that knew me better than I knew myself, something that knew everything, or like all-knowing, all-forgiving, all-encompassing consciousness that was speaking through me, that was telling me, Julien, whatever happened in your past, you're going to go back in your past. You're going to sit down. You're going to sit down straight. Yeah. You're going to breathe in a circular motion. You're going to breathe that way until you feel these motions set. Yeah. Until you feel that Kundalini energy just kind of rising. And I was like, I was doing it. And that voice said to me, you need to go back in your past and you got some forgiving to do. You got some forgiving to do. And I was like, what forgiving? It's like some people. Yeah, some people hurt you in the past. I need you to go back and go and see them. And I'm like, no, I don't want to go and see them. I'm like, I'm afraid. I don't want to see them. Do you know what I mean? And that voice said, look, I'm with you. We're doing that together. We're doing this together, Julien. You got to go back, you know? And even when I would go like down, that voice would tell me, straighten your body so that you're straight, you know, don't lose that connection. And that voice said to me, go back in the past, forgive the people that wronged you, and then go back in the past and forgive yourself for what you did, because you still have guilt. You have guilt within your heart of the things that you have done or the things that you haven't done. You need to forgive all that shit and let go. Say, how the fuck can I let go? I don't know how. And that voice said to me, it was weird, bro. It was like that voice was speaking to me like almost telepathically. I could hear the words, but I could hear the visual, multidimensional language. I could feel it. So I knew exactly what was being said. And that voice said to me, just take it and pull it out and give it to us. So I went, what do you mean? And I went just like this. I went just like, pull that fucking string from my head until it felt like I couldn't pull it anymore. And it went like a hair that you just unclip, that you just rip that hair off. That string was long. That was a string of memory, a string of emotional memory stored in my body. And I took it and I went, what do I do with this? And the voice said, give it to us. And so I just put it in the air. And when I released it, it just went, it was gone. It was gone, bro. And from this day, the major part of my suffering was gone, bro. It was gone. And I started to do a lot of automatic writing after. I could show you, if one day we meet up or next time I speak to you, I'll show you. I got books here, or I got books like that of me doing automatic drawings, automatic writing, on how to rewire your heart and your brain. We're wired the wrong way, brother, because of the way that we've been taught. That voice was teaching me how to unplug my brain and take my brain off the throne and put my heart on the throne instead, and to start making a decision with my heart instead of making decision with my brain, because the heart is only fit to make decisions. The heart knows the best. The heart is always righteous. If you ask to your heart, you will always get a righteous answer. So I was like, that's when I started to speak to my heart. That's when I started to communicate with my heart. And that's when I started to write poetry. I was writing poetry, bro. I was doing amazing drawings. And bro, this is really the experience that completely transformed my life. And it was triggered by what? By a lot of pain and a lot of MDMA. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I was like, shit, man.
Yeah.
You know?
Yes.
And people can say whatever they want. People can say whatever they want.
No, stories like this will reach someone just like the other story or the other topics that we talked about.
Yeah.
People need to hear
absolutely, man.
that.
Absolutely.
So
I mean,
I'm gonna end mine on a very similar story than you
okay.
did. Now look, I got that YouTube video of my testimonial teaching. Will you listen to it and I'll send it to you?
I'll listen to it. Yeah.
Okay. You'll like it, I think. It's changed a lot of people's life. In fact, back before I put it on YouTube, I used to hand them a CD, and people had them all over the United States. People had my CDs, and years later, probably I could tell you exactly how many years later because I can remember what school I was in. I had my Murfreesboro, Tennessee school, so that was in 2012. I did this in 2004, 2005. So it was ever many years that is, right? I'm not in. I'm doing a seminar or a private class somewhere else, but my girlfriend is running the school, my fiance at the time. And she gives me this call. She goes, "You won't believe what just happened." I'm like, "What?" She goes, "This old man just walked in. He was about 65 years old, and he asked for you." And I'm like, "Well, he's not in." And he goes, "Okay." He goes, "Okay then." He goes, "Thank you." She goes, "Well, can I ask why?" He goes, "Well, years ago, I got a CD from him in Louisiana. And I'm driving to see my niece right now, and I just heard that he lived here now. And his CD changed my life. I was an alcoholic. I was wanting to die." And he says, "And I just wanted to stop by and thank that young man for saving my life."
That's amazing, that.
Powerful, brother.
Yeah.
I almost got teared up just talking about it. So,
it's all about changing lives, bro. It's all about helping people.
That's it, man. That's it. So one time I was in a very similar situation as you, the shit low of my life, not wanting to be here anymore for lots of different reasons at the time. And I was just looking in the Bible for guidance. And I didn't have any ADMT or anything like that, unfortunately. But I was just looking in the Bible for guidance, and I just started talking to God. I'm like, "Why have you tested me so much? Why have you put me through so much suffering? Why do I have to go through this much suffering?" And like I was speaking to myself, a voice said this. It said, "What does the Bible tell you?" And I'm like, "I don't know. I've been reading this thing. Who knows?" He goes, "Well, look at my disciples." And I'm like, and I was thinking to myself, when I'm hearing this audible sound in my mind, I'm like, "Well, what about him?" He goes, "What did they go through?" I'm like, "Well, they were persecuted and they suffered greatly." And they go, and I said, "Well, Peter was hung up. He was crucified upside down. I don't know if you knew that, you know?" And he goes, and the voice goes, "Well," and he goes, "Well, what did I go through?" I said, "Well, you suffered the greatest of all. You died for our sins on the cross. You saw your most," he goes, and then that voice goes, "Well, where was my most suffering?" I'm like, "When you went to the cross of Calvary." And he goes, but what did I accomplish there? Or what was accomplished there? And I said, "Your greatest victory." And he says, "Well, you can't have one without the other. You gotta have suffering to have victory."
Do you know what they say? They say God give his hardest battles to his strongest warriors.
Yeah. Sometimes I wish you didn't trust me so much.
I am the same shit here, mate.
I loved it, brother. We did 3 hours. That's awesome.
I think that was great, bro. I think that was quality what we just did. I think we should definitely do that again at some point soon, man.
I love this shit, dude. Well, yeah, we'll pick some different topics and talk about it. I think that even that ending part, the spiritual and supernatural, I think will reach someone.
Yeah. I think next time maybe we could kind of empathize a bit more on mental health.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Because I definitely, bro, I've been suffering of mental health for fucking years and years and years. I'm getting out of it just kind of recently. Do you know what I mean? So in the last 3, 5 years, 10 years, gradually, and every time you get a deeper level of understanding as well. And tomorrow I'm interviewing John Sentry that I'm working the doors with. He's a good guy
okay.
as well. He's an MMA. He's a former pro MMA fighter, pro bare knuckle fighter.
Very cool.
Very nice guy. Very humble, but
Well, I look forward to it.
pretty fucking handy. And we will speak about mental health tomorrow quite a lot. So it's gonna be
Well, I look forward to seeing that too, man. And let me know when this is posted. And guys, if y'all want to look me up, visit www.proactionvideos.com. And that's my online video site, but you can also find my teaching site from there. So instead of giving you a bunch of websites, proactionvideos.com.
Yeah, is that all? You can put the other website. Tell us the other website if you want.
It's on there. So just click the link from there.
Well, you do also have because these podcasts is being broadcasted on Facebook and on YouTube. So on my YouTube channel, if for people that are not that don't know Billy Brown, you can find him also on Facebook. Billy Brown on Facebook. Have you got an Instagram page as well?
I do. Yeah, and all that can be found on my website too. And my other main website is www.empowerusa.net. EMPLWERUSA.net.
Nice one.
All right.
And so for me, obviously, since you've done it, I'm going to do it as well. My website is under construction, but it's gonna be ready. It's 75%, 80% done, so it should be ready in the next couple of months. It is www.adrenalinecombatives.com, and I got 3 YouTube channels. Yeah, the first one is Adrenaline Combatives, the other one is Urban Combatives Manchester, and the third one is the Grey Warrior's Heart. Yeah, which focuses more on the spiritual side of things. Yeah. And on Facebook, you can find me Julien UCS, or just look for Adrenaline Combatives on Facebook and you'll find me there. So, Billy, it was super. It was great to have you. There was a great chat. I really enjoyed that. And we'll definitely do that at some point soon again, man.
Let's do it again, man. Hopefully we can do it in person one day.
Yeah, I'd love that. I'd love to get you down to the UK at some point. And by the way, there are some other people that want to get you down. There is Lucy. There is Lucy that wants to get you down. There is Dan Holloway as well that wants to get you down. So I will try and team up with them and see if we can make that happen.
Yeah, I'll be honored to come there and see you guys. All right, brother. Have a good weekend. I'm teaching. I'm going about 3 hours away this weekend to teach a seminar, and it should be fun. I'm camping out. It's gonna be nice.
Nice. Yeah, I'm gonna do a summer camp this year as well. You got good weather, bro. We got this shitty UK weather. We can't do much except when it's summer. We got maybe like 2-3 weeks of sun.
Yeah, we're having a rough winter this year. It's 85 and sunny right now. 85 and sunny. Horrible winter. 85 and sunny. Don't be jealous, guys. Don't be jealous.
Fuck it.
How cold is it there?
It's not very cold. It's not very cold now. It's been cold not too long ago. We had a bit of a cold period. It's not too cold, but it's just gray. It's just gray all the time. It's raining. It's gray. It's always cloudy. It's just depressing, mate. To be honest with you, I want to eventually at some point I want to go to the sun, man.
Yeah, come see me in Florida, man.
Yeah, I'll come and see you, bro. Why not? I'd love to go to the US. I've never been to the US before.
I'll come to the UK and see you guys. All right, talk soon, brother.
All right, Billy Brown. Love you, brother.
Love you, brother. Have a good one.
Same to you, man. Take care.
You too. Bye-bye.
Peace.